22, I got involved with the Russian mafia. Here's how it happened.
Looks like they've been breastfeeding for a year.
Bart, what's your name? Bert?
Oh, my mom's gonna be so upset.
There's not a Mormon I've ever met that I haven't loved. Jesus Christ. We want fucking big.
Like how big we talking?
Like 5,000 square feet. Like
Floors?
More land. So we found a couple places, but I don't know. You rolling?
Yeah, it's a tough one. You bought this one?
We bought this a while ago.
Yeah.
This was like, it's hard when do you own or do you rent?
I own.
You own your place? Where do you live?
Gramercy.
Really?
Yeah.
That's great.
I'm successful.
I know. I follow you on Instagram.
No, I got a place because I was making all this money on the books for from MTV. So I
that's right.
So it was just like I had money and I had like proof of income and I'm a comic. I'm like, I don't know when this is gonna happen again. Yeah. So I was like, let me just do it now while the banks think that this is gonna continue. Smart. Yeah.
Let me tell you something. There's so much I want to talk to you about.
Yeah, I can't wait.
So much. I don't even know where to start, but I will start there. I didn't know shit like that. Like there's comics that have different brains.
Yeah.
That have can wear different hats. Like I'm the kind I would argue I'm more like kind of like if I had never met my wife, I'd be the guy that sat at the cellar all night eating free chicken wings, never asking for anything more.
Yeah.
I would have never, I don't know if I would have ever, if I hadn't had kids, I would never be working. I'd just be the drinking, stay out at late. And then there's guys like Segura. Segura is very business minded, not to take away from his creativity. A lot of people hear that and think that's a slam on creativity.
Yeah.
It's not. Segura's mind is, I remember doing a gig with him and he was like, so you putting money away from your retirement? He was a feature. And I was like, huh? I was like,
take $11 from every check.
That's the way his brain works. His brain is like very fiscally minded. But is late to the game when it comes to how you're playing the game.
Right.
Because now he's looking at what you're doing going like, maybe I shouldn't reinvest money in my career and start filming some stuff and getting stuff out there. And, as opposed to just retweeting videos of guys getting their dicks cut off. That's Segura's sense of humor.
Right.
But when did you bought a house when you were a kid? Bro?
Nah, I bought a house a few years back. So when was this? Maybe I've had it for like 2 years now. Yeah. Maybe a little bit more.
How did you start?
Not a house, apartment. I got an apartment.
No, yeah. Obviously. Well, how did you start?
Stand up?
I want to know everything.
Okay.
I want to know everything. Yeah. There's so much, what's crazy is you put yourself out there so much.
Yeah.
There's so much I feel like I know about you and I know nothing.
I don't talk about myself a lot.
That's another thing I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Like you got that Rogan Burr part where it's like, Jeselnik, Tosh, a lot of great comics don't like sharing too much about themselves.
Because who am I? Why am I interesting?
Dude, you're fucking fascinating.
Yeah, but
I feel like your dad was a diamond merchant right off Times Square. And he'd sit down and he'd go, Andrew, I've got a lot of life lessons I want to teach you. Number one, reinvest in yourself. Always reinvest in yourself.
Financially illiterate. I'm financially illiterate. Okay. Both my folks pretty much financially illiterate, but they made good moves. Like my mom was just a beast.
Really?
My mom was my mom's born and raised in Scotland, comes here in her mid-20s. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, okay.
Most people assume,
this is all changing the thing.
Yeah, most people assume I'm Jewish, right? And,
everyone assumes you're Jewish.
Yeah, not Jewish.
You're just New York.
I'm just New York, right? And the name, so kind of, fits the bill. And then, so basically, so she comes in when she's in her 20s, and she was a dancer. My parents went to dance school, taught dance lessons. That's why I loved your video. Yeah.
Your parents were dance teachers.
My mom was a 3-time U.S. ballroom dance champion.
I mean, this is not, this is blowing my fucking mind.
Yeah. There is a rat right across.
Yeah, I know.
Is that okay?
Yeah. We have chichickens back there.
Okay, got it.
So the rats go in to eat the chicken.
I see.
Yeah. Unpredictable.
Yeah. Gotta move. Time to go.
Dude, there's rats. And we have a queen palm, and I brought my drone up yesterday to go to the top of the queen palm. And there are rats
everywhere.
It's like the secret of Nim. They're just it.
You gotta go.
No, it's part of it. If you have any fruit tree in LA, you're gonna have rats.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. So keep going.
So mom comes in, she's, you know, the best at what she does, and then starts this dance studio. My dad was in the news business. He was like an on-air like news reporter in Baltimore, moved back up to New York, but he's like a city kid. He was born and raised in Manhattan, and then moved back up to New York, and then like, you know, starts kind of like helping my mom with the business. So they just had like this, you know, dance studio teaching salsa and fucking swing and shit.
Shut up. Can you dance?
So that's what I know, the basics. I'm not like some great
No,
dancer.
but you're into hip hop.
Yeah.
I know for a fact.
You know more about hip hop than me. This is the thing that's like, I'm tangentially, you know, into hip hop in that, like, I do it with Charla, right? So I do, you know, Brilliant Eights with Charla.
Dude, we're gonna talk about him.
Yeah.
You know, I'm obsessed with that man.
Well, I know, and you should be, rightfully so.
That man, that guy
he's amazing.
He really is fucking amazing. Because even when he's wrong, he says he's wrong. That's what I like about him. Like he called someone out on Donkey of the Day and then was wrong. There's like a week ago. Yeah. And then he called himself out. Like, I love Charlamagne. We're going to talk about that later. Yeah. But so keep going about hip hop.
So like, I mean, I was always like, I guess, a fan because I grew up in it. Like, I'm from New York. That's just all we had. We didn't have any other option, you know. But like, I found other music as I got older. Like, I found like country and shit. I like country now.
Really?
Yeah. But I found it late. Like, I'm 35 and I just started listening.
Oh, there's some great country. Like Dwight Yoakam.
I don't know him yet. I just got Chris Stapleton. That guy's good.
Oh, you've been hanging out with Joe way too much.
I love Chris. Wait, does Joe like Chris Stapleton?
Oh, of course Joe likes Chris Stapleton.
That's my guy, man. I love that guy.
Joe's got the most eclectic set of like music. Like I'll put something in a video, and Joe will just text me going, "Dude, I've been sleeping on Creedence Clearwater Revival. Fuck, what a great song. Where did you find that?" Like, but Joe's like good friends with that whole. If I'm not mistaken, good friends with that whole clique. Yeah. There's a bunch of guys that are young. Yeah. I think it started with Shooter Jennings, and Shooter introduced him to a lot of those guys. I used to shit all over country music, and I'm realizing as I got older, it was just like there's so many rats. It's like, there's like you're seeing it five, right in. There's like 5-6 rats just converging. There's more rats in there than there's horde of really fucking rats. There's an entire family. Dude, it is. Oh my God. Bro, there's 10. I've seen 10 rats right across from where we're doing this. Oh my God. You're not joking. And bro, there's a fake owl that's meant to scare them off, I think. That's the point of the owl, right? Oh my God. That is more rats than I've ever seen in that cage ever in my life. Dude, you do a good job of like pretending like you don't see that regularly. Oh, it doesn't bother me anymore. Oh my God, bro. That's so many rats. Dude, we had them in our house. No, dude, don't tell me that. We had them in our house. I don't fucking but when you could hear them in the attic. Yeah. And they were just living in the attic. Yeah. And we had to have an exterminator come out, and they got up in the attic, and he was like, "Oh, there's like a fucking nest." Yeah. So they had to seal off the attic, and then for a week, we watched dudes that have been on vacation, like rats that have been on vacation, try to get back into their family. Oh. I know this is crazy. I know I'm going to sound like a lunatic. Yeah. But it breaks your heart to see a rat be like, "My family's in there," and like outside going, "How do I?" Like, and literally almost dying to get in, like killing himself to get in. It was kind of heartbreaking. Now they're all out here. Yeah. Totally okay. Yeah, because you grew up in New York. Yeah, and also I don't care about animals as much as most people. Oh. Yeah, are you a big animal guy? Yeah, but not like. How many animals do we need? Well, like how many do we really fucking need? We have 2 dogs. We're getting a 3rd dog next weekend. No. I'm not talking about like in your house. I'm talking about like how many species of animals do we really need? Dude, but hold on. Just tell me how many we really need. I could use more. How great would it be if we started discovering new species? We do every day. There's a new beetle or something like that, but we don't need it. I wish they would interbreed like a lion and a gorilla, and we could get I'm fucking obsessed. A gorion? A gorion? That sounds like an Asian person saying lion. Wait a minute. So like if a thing goes extinct, that's like really like when the rhinoceros goes extinct. Dude, have you ever seen a bald eagle? No. Oh. Let me tell you something. I'm a little older than you, so I grew up when bald eagles were like facing extinction. Yeah. I remember the first time I saw a bald eagle. I was in Alaska in one of those bush jet boats. Yeah. And we saw a bald eagle, and everyone I was with was like, everyone was my age. They're like, "Holy fuck, a bald eagle! They're fucking huge. Yeah. And they're beautiful." And you're like, "Holy fuck, a bald eagle!" And like lost our minds. But I feel like we could do that with a kite. We could make a nice kite. Right? Like we could make a beautiful ornate kite and then just hang them up for whatever. And then it looks like bald eagles everywhere. Have you heard about forest bathing? What? Forest bathing?
No.
You got to do this while you're out. When do you go home?
Wait a minute. Forced bathing?
Hold on. Forced bathing.
Okay, I go home tomorrow, but then I go to Russia.
What are you doing in Russia?
I'm doing a show in Russia.
Where?
bro.
Where?
Moscow. Have you performed in Russia?
No.
You gotta go. If there's anybody that's gotta go. If there's anybody that owes something to Russia.
Talk to your promoter, Sergey, and tell him to hit me up.
Doug, you've really had collusion. Like,
Wait, how big of a venue are you doing in Moscow?
I think it's like maybe 400 seats, something like
That's
that.
fucking huge.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That's fucking huge. How did you get a Moscow fan base?
They just asked me. Apparently, one of my clips, like a stand-up clip, was going around, and it was kind of like important for people who are like starting comedy out there. They were like, "Hey, this is cool. We should do this."
I thought you were gonna be like, it's socially. It was about like your wife. If she speaks up, you gotta.
They got that down.
Do you know that's why they tried to bring Everybody Loves Raymond to Russia, and it just didn't work because they were like,
he was like,
"Who lets their woman talk like that? Huh? You hit her a little bit and say, bitch, you don't talk to me like that." Yeah,
animals. We were talking something about animals. Oh, bald eagles. Yeah. I just feel like there's a lot of animals that it's time to go and we're holding on too long.
Okay.
Like this house. You have rats everywhere. It's time to go. Right? Like all I see is rat tails hanging down like little icicles.
By the way, I can't not see them now too.
My seat is directed. I feel like this is an intimidation tactic that you learned in Russia. Like I feel like this is a way to like get the guests.
I mean, I can't believe how many rats are in there. I can't believe it.
Yeah, it's shocking. I can't.
You realize that's the only takeaway anyone will get from this podcast is like Bert's got rats.
Yeah, I
there
hope
will be animations. There will be like that's where people will hang their hat on this podcast. You could be like, actually,
Bro, there are no less than 50 rats going up and down, and there are more. They're coming down the tree. This is like you got to call the city.
You got
to call the city.
You got to scare them or something.
Halston, why are you going outside?
Halston,
we are safe from them in here.
You got to scare them, Halston.
Don't scare them. They'll come in here. Close the door. Just close the door. Close the door.
One of the chickens.
We're not doing this.
I would love for Halston to be attacked by a rat.
Why is he doing that? This is something I don't get. But that's what I'm saying. So a rhinoceros.
Oh my God.
Okay, now when you see all that, could we live without rats? What if rats just went?
No, you couldn't. See, because
don't give me the whole thing. The ecosystem falls apart. It doesn't. Because we've been killing animals forever and we're pretty good.
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, maybe I could live without rats personally.
I could live without rats. So now we just take it one. Now, what about polar bears?
I've never needed one.
Do you see how we're flipping? Yeah. You see how we wanted more animals and now we're like, how many do we need?
I don't need polar bears or seals really.
Dude.
I'm cool without sharks.
Okay.
Like if you started doing a draft, let's flip it.
Keep going.
Let's do a draft of animals we need.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Cows, chickens. I think if we have cows and chickens.
Cows, chickens.
That's it. I don't think we need many more. Maybe a fish.
It would be nice to have whales. I like whales don't hurt anybody and they kind of cool when you see them. Yeah,
unless you're a plankton and you're like, these guys are dicks. It's a fucking Holocaust every time they open their mouth.
Dude,
if you're a plankton.
Do you know how many snorkelers get eaten up by whales every year? Because they're whale watching and all of a sudden the plankton rush at them. And my buddy John Mann's just
shit.
And you get caught up and it just
whales gotta go. They gotta go. Dude, okay.
What animal has struck awe in your heart where you went, holy fuck?
No, dogs got to stay.
No. Like awe. Dogs never give me awe.
Yeah.
I saw a lion one time. I was like 15 feet from a lion.
Okay.
In the
safari.
It's a majestic animal.
So, and then you looked at it, right? And then when you were done looking at it, right?
I was done before everyone else. And that's interesting you say that because I remember everyone was like, whoa. And I was like, I got it.
Yeah, the hair.
Same with the whale shark. We went scuba diving with whale sharks, and they're like, we're going to go down there for 45 minutes. And I was like, cool. And we got down there, and I was like, 5 minutes in, I'm like, I am done with this fucking whale shark. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Whale shark's kind of a pussy.
Whale sharks
It's like, eat something, dog. He's just sitting there doing
nothing.
nothing.
In the net. Like he was in Japan. They had netted him so you could, like, they'd take people out and just, it was fucking sad.
That's all I'm saying is like, we don't have to have all the animals, and we're spending all this time trying to save some. Yeah. And I think it's like, God is going, it's kind of better without that. do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I think, I don't know. I get a little crazy with this kind of stuff. Like I'm like a global warming guy. Like I think that might work out.
You know what's so funny is
it might work out. It
You
might
think?
be what we want.
You think?
I'm almost 100% positive.
Pitch me pro global warming.
It's just like.
By the way, this is what. Can I tell you what
It's
is
like,
so
like-
frustrating as a
yeah.
man that's 46? Is one of our favorite things to do as a comic is
Yeah.
take an angle no one sees,
No one takes.
and then literally sit and chew on it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So like we do that with global warming. Like who suffers from global warming? There's like 4 Eskimos that still want to live up there.
The Bahamas.
That's kind of annoying. But look, you can't make an omelet without cracking some eggs.
That hurricane has been sitting on top of the Bahamas for 48
Bro,
hours.
it won't go.
And it's not moving.
It won't go.
I've been in hurricanes.
Yeah.
Can you imagine 48 hours of you going, because you
No.
don't have any news, you don't have any
There's
information.
nothing, dude.
You're
Yeah.
just sitting there going, fucking enough already.
How have we not figured out hurricanes yet? That's another thing.
Trump's like, drop a bomb on him. And
I'm
I was like,
okay with-
why hasn't anybody tried it?
Dude, you don't think people in Bahamas were like, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Just fucking give it a go.
I mean, someone's got to try it.
Yes. I don't know what the bomb does, but there's got to be something you can do to a hurricane.
You know what it would do? Have you ever seen when they drop a bomb and then the sound wave travels and air travels and all of a sudden everyone's like, whew. I wonder if it would push and disperse the storm.
So now it can't spin and doesn't have any power.
That's the problem with Trump is that he says this crazy fucking thing that everyone writes off, and then
And
you
it's
go,
like, wait a
hold on,
minute.
did someone smarter than him say it? And now he's saying it. And now we're
100%.
writing it off because he's saying it.
100%.
Because drop a couple bombs, just see if it does anything.
Dog, the bombs. The other thing was the ice. We tried to do that back in the day, but we didn't have like the technology. But like, if you just have this massive block of ice and you put it in the eye, it's too cool. It needs warm air,
So you have a tugboat bring in a fucking ice cube,
bro. And the glacier's already going.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not a specialist in any means with this kind of stuff. I just feel like there's certain things we should have figured out.
Yeah.
I feel like if hurricanes hit New York, we would have figured it out.
I heard that one did. Big J lost everything.
Wait, he did?
Oh yeah, there was one.
Oh, that's right.
There was one that went up the coast and Big
Yeah.
J lost everything. Kevin Hart gave him like 15 grand to get his life back on.
No
track.
way.
Or 35 grand, something like that.
Really?
Yeah, and never called. I mean, not bad or good, but Kevin Hart gave him the money, never said anything, never called him, never, and they kind of,
That's a good guy.
yeah.
That's a good guy.
By the time this airs, people will know what's going on with Kevin Hart. I think more.
Yeah.
I think it's been so quiet. I think
Yeah.
I'm not fucking feeling good about it.
Yeah. In terms of what?
I think it's more of an injury than we think, or more that something happened more
Yeah.
because it's so quiet.
Yeah. I mean, my assumption would be he was driving and they're trying to make it seem like he wasn't. That just from the fact that you don't hear any
Very
information.
seldomly do you get in a car accident and then get in an SUV, go home
Right. And
to go get help.
you're drunk or something like that.
was-
So now
yeah.
so there's a
I
drunk
mean, I don't
driver
know.
thing.
I would never want to put blame on Kevin, but I just, a second I heard all this, I was like, and then they drove him to the it just sounds fucking horrible.
Yeah.
Do you drink?
A little bit.
Like what, like how much when you say, like how many times have you gotten drunk this month?
Ooh, not that many, but I'll get drunk. Like I for years didn't drink at all. I don't drink before I go on stage.
No, me either. I mean, I'll bring a drink with me,
Right.
but I don't go up.
You don't
I
go
won't-
up drunk.
I will never go. You'll never see me in a comedy club getting a drink before I go on stage. It just doesn't happen.
Right.
I take that back. Like if Rogan does a shot before we all go on stage, I'll do a shot with him.
Camaraderie.
Yeah, but I'm not. I like to be
On it.
and know what I'm saying.
Feel it.
Yeah.
I like to feel it. Like, I mean, like with the littler shows, maybe you're not, there's not any nerves or anything like that. But like when is that a real gun?
Yeah.
Oh, sick. So but for like a big show, if there's some nerves, I like feeling that. Like,
Yeah,
I want
I
to
do
know I'm
too.
in it,
Yeah. What was were your parents big drinkers?
No, my dad didn't drink at all. And my mom, yes. My mom's Scottish, man. It was like part of the culture.
Brothers and sisters?
Little brother.
How old?
He's 30, 5 years younger than me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so wait, so get back to when did you get into comedy?
I went to school at UC Santa Barbara. I know. I
You
came out here to
realize-
go to school.
You realize there could be a game show called What I Don't Know About Andrew?
It'd be a lot. It'd be a lot.
Were you cognizant when you started to kind of keep your life apart?
Honestly, my approach was like, why the fuck am I so interesting that like people that don't know me should just sit there and let me talk to them about my life? Like I just never, I thought that I thought you need to earn that, you know, like.
I'll tell you what, that's not a bad insight, because when I was younger and I did specials, I think you do a lot of writing where you're learning to write, and then you find your voice. And then for some of us, your voice, you know, finds you quicker. And for me, it took me getting older to go, I'm going to talk about just me. I don't really like. But
that's why people love you, right? They love you for who you are, and you open yourself up to them, and you're very like vulnerable, and they can latch on to that, right? And there's like this authentic person that they're listening to or like watching, right? But your fans are coming out to see you, you know, which is what we all want in our career, right? Yeah. But I think for like the brand new comic that goes up at the show,
it's really hard for him to go out and talk about himself. You're right.
You know, I was at the dentist, and then whatever, like even when most people are doing like family related humor, usually the family related humor has to do with like their culture, and people who share that culture relate to that, right? Not just like, you got to be at a different level where you are talking about taking your daughter to school. That's a different level of fame, so bro.
Funny, as you said this, I went, one of the big slams gay comics get is that they just talk about being gay or what it's like to be gay when they're young.
Right.
And then a lot of times when you see a gay comic who's just doing stand-up, who's just being funny, a lot of us will go, and I'm not saying, let me just put it when I was young, when I was starting, when you saw a gay comic that you didn't even know was gay, and then at the end you're like, he didn't even talk about being gay.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, he's like a comic. And then, and then now you look at it and you're like there's some gay comics I was like, I wish they'd start talking about being gay. I feel like they don't talk about it at all.
Dude, imagine how fucking much that sucks. That like the hardest thing in your life, I imagine, as a gay dude, is coming out, right? The moment you come out, you got to do that over and over again every time you go on stage. Like for me, that's why I always assume that there's like the super flamboyant gays. That's their version of coming out without saying it. It's like, if I'm in fucking pink shorts and rollerblades, you know I'm gay, so I don't have to go, hey, I'm gay. But a guy like for example, a guy like Tim Dillon that you would never assume is gay, hilarious comic, he's got to let everyone know he's gay. And then when he says it, they're like, man, come on. Yeah. He's like, no, seriously, I'm gay. I like sucking dicks. He says it like that. Yeah. And you're like, what's going on here?
The first time he did Rogan, I think me and a couple people texted like, should any of us text Joe and let him know he's gay? Like, not that Joe's not that kind of like hateful guy and he would never say anything.
Right.
But it is an interesting sidebar to know of Tim. When you meet him, you're like, well, shut up. Like, I remember being a little heartbroken when I found out he was gay. Like, not that it matters. Like, I don't go out and chase tail.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, like, I don't know what I was more upset, that he didn't drink or that he was gay. Like, I was like, come on, there's got to be something. But now me, him, and Bobby Kelly went and smoked a cigar that night.
Yeah,
and I had a blast with him.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
It was like really an eye-opening time where you're like, why am I not friends with more gay men? Like,
there's just not a lot of them.
There's not. I mean, there's not. Don't get my wife started on this.
On what? Well, you're in LA. Maybe it's different.
No. Well, no. My wife has a bee in her bonnet about how many people are learning disabled versus how many people are like transgendered and gay.
Yeah.
She's like 25%, like, because our daughters, obviously, you know, whatever hill you find to die on, that's going to be your hill.
Yeah.
And our daughter's learning disabled.
What does she have?
Severely. School. What do you mean? Oh, what does she have? oh, I thought you said, where's she at? I said, school. She's in the basement. We chained her to the radiator.
Bro, it's really bad.
No, she's dyslexic. Like, I mean, cripplingly dyslexic. Yeah. And my wife that's her thing that she deals with every day, is,
of course, learning disabled children, and just how many children are learning disabled.
Yep. It's overwhelming. I guess when you see those numbers, and then you go like compare and the amount of lack of empathy that maybe that society shows for children that have a hard time learning, and how our learning system, our schooling system's not set up for everyone. It's set up for, you know, the Asian majority. Kids, I guess. And so, dude, Asian kids
kill it.
Dude, they're next level.
Yeah.
Like we went to a majority Korean school.
Yeah.
You know what they did? after school, the moms would switch kids and have them do homework at other houses. So like you'd pick up my kid, I'd pick up your kid, and we go home and do homework. It would take 30 minutes because my kid's not talking back to you, your kid's not talking back to me, and then they'd walk home. And that's how fucking homework got done. To learn how to do math, they taught them all how to play the violin because apparently math and the violin are hand in hand. So every Asian kid knew how to play the violin. Every Asian kid murdered math. I mean, they were next fucking level.
Yeah.
And here we are with some white mouth breathers.
Yeah.
Can't play the violin and we're doing homework with them. I don't want to do homework. Anyway, back to you.
Yeah.
You see Santa Barbara?
Crazy,
you see Santa Barbara?
It is a crazy thing. Like their ability to just do any repetitive task. Like if there's a repetitive task, Asians will be the best at it. Because they can sit there and just do the same thing over and over again longer than anyone else. Indians are probably second. They'll do it pretty close. But like white and black kids, like we're going to be like, I'm going to jerk off. But like an Asian kid will just...
I wonder if that's nature versus nurture. Meaning that our nurturing as white and black kids are pretty much primarily American. It's like American value system.
Yeah. Rebel.
Yeah.
We are raised with rebellion. Right? Like rebel.
Not a lot of rebellion in those cultures.
I know. It's not at all. Because it's like, how dare you like affect the community? Like I was in Japan.
That looked so much fun.
What, Japan? Listen.
By the way, I've been to Japan.
Okay.
I didn't have as much fun as you had.
Okay. First
of
all.
And I drink.
Let's discuss Japan because one of the most fascinating places I've ever been to. Also one of the most like sad places I've ever been to. And
very little autonomy. Very little self-expression. That's why you see groups of kids dressed in ridiculous fucking character outfits.
I need the outlet. Just any outlet, give it to me. It's like they have this crazy obsession. This is how the way I describe it. It's like Japanese and like Upper East Side Jews are the exact opposite people. Like. By
the way, I'm so excited for this analogy. You have no fucking idea.
Because you know how like everything about Japanese culture is don't make anyone else uncomfortable by any means. Do not embarrass anybody. Don't inconvenience any. Whatever you do, do not inconvenience a single soul. Right? And you know, like Upper East Side Jewish culture is like. It's cold. Why turn the heat up? Why is this so toasted? It's constant. Like, what can I do in this moment for me to feel more comfortable? Yeah. And the first thing I did when I got back, I hit my boy Dove, and I was like,
Dove
dude,
Davidoff?
No, Dove Mammon.
I was like, how many doves
went to college. Only a couple doves. And I asked him because he travels a lot, does a lot of stuff, and I go, dude, I was just in Japan. Like, what's your take in Japan? And he goes, don't even get me started. These people.
Dude, I went from Japan directly to Vietnam. Night and fucking day.
Yes.
My analogy was if you're walking around Japan, everyone has their hands to themselves. And in Vietnam, everyone's trying to put their fingers in your mouth.
Yes.
You're literally like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Like, I do a very racist, probably, I'm sure is what it'll be called when I put it on my special, impression of an Asian woman. Not as bad, maybe worse than Chappelle's, but But and it is a direct conversation I had with a Vietnamese woman in Vietnam. Like it is exactly what she said to me. And
what was she said? I don't want to give you to give away your bit.
You waste my time. You buy now. Just yelled at me, and I just walked in. I was like, "Ooh, this is nice. You buy now. And I was like, "No, I'm not gonna. Hang on. I want to look around. Yo, you waste my time. Leave now." And so I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how.
To be fair, Americans did waste a lot of their time in a war that took far too long.
Way too long.
So I get the leave now.
I'm friends with. I love making things about me. I wish I could do less of that.
That's what we do, baby. Do it.
I'm friends with one of the most famous Vietnamese people from that war. Friends. She wrote the book When Heaven and Earth Changed Places, which is a huge movie by Oliver Stone.
Okay.
And like probably one of the more recognizable Vietnamese people, super famous in Vietnam. And so once again, I just made it about me. There's no fucking tag along to that story. That's one thing I'd change if I could change about me. You see Santa Barbara?
Yeah, you see Santa Barbara.
How did you go from fucking New York to there?
Okay, I randomly grew up surfing in New York City.
You surf?
Yeah.
Shut up.
Well, I used to surf way more. By the way, it's one of my dreams to surf that like surf ranch, the Kelly Slater one. Do you know Kelly Slater at all?
I do not know Kelly Slater.
Damn, man. We need to hook up with Kelly, man. Yeah.
We just need to reach out to Joe and get Joe's. Kelly knows Joe.
Dude, we got to talk to Joe.
And Kelly knows about Sober October, and we were going to do surfing for Sober October, but we did just.
Have you guys decided what you're doing?
Not really.
Okay.
Segura's in. I mean, I don't know when this will air, so yeah. I mean, we have kind of.
Yeah.
But Segura's in Europe most of October. Joe, I'm on the road, so it's like we couldn't do surfing. We may do I would like to do another Sober October, like 6 months away from October, like do one in the summer and do surfing.
Yeah.
But Kelly Slater reached out when we were talking about it to Joe. I saw it on Joe's page. Was like, wait, are we not doing surfing anymore? And so, but I would love to do that.
Dude, if you guys go, I gotta go. That's like a dream of mine. There's another one that this Mark Acolupo guy, he's Australian.
Aki?
You know Aki.
Oh,
okay, yeah.
dude.
Yeah. You know surfing?
Yeah, very. When we were all going to do the surfing challenge, there was like, I grew up surfing, but I sucked. I was really bad. And so I would basically be starting, and especially at my size now.
Yeah.
For me to surf now, I've tried.
Yeah.
When we did Travel Channel, and I could never get up because it was just like too fucking heavy.
Yeah.
And so when we were talking about doing the surfing challenge, I was like, yeah, I could basically start from scratch with them and be at an even playing field.
Dude, that'd be great.
But yeah, I know a lot about surfing. I know a great deal about
Aki's got a surf like resort in Australia that they're developing, and it's different.
I just saw that. It's
dude,
a big ball
with the
that
fucking
shoots
donut,
down.
dude.
Yeah.
And it's so sick because for anybody who's listening, Kelly Slater's one is a wave pool, but there's this kind of central like train that's on a track,
down,
and it just shoots down. There's one wave that peels off of it, and it's the best wave in the world, and it's unbelievable. Mark Acolupo's is this giant circular lake, and in the middle there's this kind of bobber, if you will, like a bobber donut type thing. And when it plunges into the water, it sends a donut ring wave out, and there's like 6 different waves in the lake that you can surf. So it's not like you're waiting on this line and next person. You go to one peak, I go to another peak, and it's like, dude, I'm going to Australia on tour, and I hope that somebody reaches out and says, hey, do you want to come?
Let's make that happen.
Yo, let's do it.
Listen, when's your Australian tour?
18th to the 19th to the 29th. September, yeah.
We got to put this out before then. Can we or at least then?
That'd be cool, man.
Yeah, that's I grew up in Florida. We grew up surfing in New Smyrna, which is the shark attack capital of the world.
Oh shit.
But we would go down to Cocoa Beach where Kelly Slater grew up, and I'm his age, so I mean I remember buying surfing magazines when it was him and his brother were like the two sun deck. I think it was a sun britches or sun deck. It was a pair of pants. They were like the models for sun britches,
right?
And I mean, he was like a legend to everyone in Florida.
Oh yeah.
And then he came out.
He was in Baywatch. Do you remember that?
Not really.
He was in early Baywatch.
We tapped out. I think he banged Pamela Anderson.
Oh, that was his girl for a minute. Yeah.
We tapped out in college. We all followed surfing, but no one it was like, I don't know. And then when I moved to New York, I tapped out entirely.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kelly Slater is fucking, you know who
Legend.
I just started following again was, do you know Christian Fletcher?
Yeah.
Yeah. Christian Fletcher and his brother Nathan.
Yeah.
I just started following them on Instagram, and he was in Bali at the same time I was in Bali. And I was like,
did you reach out?
I was about to.
Yeah.
So I'm like, but then I was like, I would have to be like, hey man, I'm a comedian. And he'd be like, I don't really give a fuck. Because he's like, I don't really give a fuck. There's videos of him racing motorcycles through Bali, just running from the cops.
Really?
He still lives it.
He's like still, a badass.
He still lives. He was the first person I saw get a tattoo. Like I never really had my head around tattoos. And he got a tattoo of like this octopus on his arm when I was like 13 or maybe 12. And I was like, back when you were like, dude, you can't get a tattoo. You'll ruin your body. What are your parents going to say?
Yeah.
And I remember seeing a tattoo on him and I was like, whoa, can I tell you who I'm obsessed with?
Who?
Brad Gerlach.
I don't know that.
Brad Gerlach's a little older than you. I think he like kind of tapped out, but he would be a great guy.
There was another set of brothers that were from the East Coast of Corey Lopez and
I surfed with Corey Lopez.
And his brother Shane Lopez. Yeah.
I surfed with Corey Lopez in New Smyrna with this guy Tupac. We went surfing on these electric surfboards. Sick. He was from, if I'm not mistaken, I think Corey Lopez was from Indian Rocks Beach.
But it was West Coast Florida.
West Coast Florida, yeah. Indian Rocks. He grew up surfing in, dude, I never in a million years thought we'd have this conversation.
Yeah, I know, dude.
I like, when we were kids, if you had a Channel Island surfboard, you were like, next.
It was
level.
Al Merrick, and then all of a sudden Lost came out. Like I had
I remember when Lost showed up.
Growing
when Lost showed up.
And they would do those sick videos.
So do you wakeboard at all?
No.
You would love wakeboarding.
I've done it a little bit. It was cool, and I just love surfing, man. There was just something so relaxing about surfing. It was like meditative for me, but also there was a performance aspect. So like it tapped into a bunch of these things that ended up being my comedy joy. Like,
yeah.
All right, so here are the parallels I'll make between like surfing and comedy. It's like when you're surfing, there's a singular focus, right? You don't have time to think about other shit. You're like in survival mode, but you're also like, how do I get up on this wave? You can't be distracted while you're surfing a wave, right? And just like being on stage, it's very hard to just be distracted. It's like you're locked in, you're plugged in, right?
Yeah.
And every wave is different, right? So just like every crowd is different. So it's a very hard thing to master because you might want to try to do an air on this wave, or you might want to try to get barreled, but the wave might not present itself with that opportunity. Just like a crowd, you might want to just, I'm just going to go kill with this joke, but the crowd's like, I don't really feel like giving you any energy on that joke. So it's this like unmasterable art form that like constantly creates new problems, and it's just such a great challenge. I think that's why I love them both.
That's a great analogy, especially for anyone who's surfed.
Yeah.
And the limited amount of surfing I've done, and I say limited just to pay out of respect for anyone who really surfs, like Moshe legit surfs all the time.
Right.
I've definitely felt like I've been pumping, trying to get a wave to just build up a little bit.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, but it just won't give it to you. I mean, it's just, anyway.
That's a great analogy. And it's especially, I think there's so many people that force it.
Yeah.
And you've seen so many people in the lineup force it where they're like, big wave, and then they just go ass over tea kettle. And you're like, no, that's the majority of you guys that come out and go, give yourselves a round of applause for coming out.
Yeah,
you guys having a good time?
Yeah.
Keep it going for your host.
Yeah,
You guys, we're all a lot of beautiful women.
Yeah.
Give yourself a round of applause for beautiful. It's a great analogy.
Yeah.
So did you surf out here?
So I came out to go to school here. I brought a couple surfboards, and I surfed 2 times the entire time I was in.
Really?
In Santa Barbara, yeah. I just never got into it out here for whatever reason. And but I got into stand-up out here. I was managing a restaurant. They had a comedy night, and they asked me if I wanted to try it. And it was my super senior year, my 5th year. And
we call that our senior year. Keep going.
You went junior, senior?
I was in 6.5 years.
Oh, really? Okay. You did some time.
Oh, yeah.
I did a year abroad. Like I took a year off and lived in Barcelona and just kind of like worked at an ad agency and shit. So like there was a little gap for me, but yeah, so I came back and I just started doing some stand up, and it was funny. All these guys that you see blowing up now used to come by this place up in Santa Barbara. Like Sebastian would come up, I remember seeing Tig early on. I remember seeing all these guys that really ended up, doing it. And so I started there for like a month, and then I moved back to New York, and I just got into the New York scene. And
really?
Started
and
grinding.
So how quick did you guys, because all you guys started on Guy Code, right?
So
did you do Guy Code or Nick's thing?
No, I did Guy Code.
Yeah.
So like Guy Code, for me, like when I was looking at the game, even back in the day, I was like, all right, I want to get into the clubs, because if I'm in the clubs, I can get better at stand-up. I just wanted to be better at stand-up.
Mm-hmm.
And I started looking at the people who were performing in the clubs, and I'd look at the lineups, and they were all on that show, VH1's Best Week Ever. Remember that? Or like I Love the 90s or some shit?
I just mentioned Best Week Ever to my wife in the car the other day.
Yeah.
She goes, I have no idea what the fuck that is.
So it was this show that was just weekly that had comics on, and then because comics were on there, they were able to like populate the clubs, and people wanted to see them, right? So I was like, I need to get a weekly show. So I just started like, I don't know, I just put that out there, and that was my focus. And then Guy Code came out, and I know somebody asked me to audition for it. I forget exactly. Lauren Zins over at MTV, she asked me to audition for it. And I got on that, and that kind of became popular. And
that was you, Donnell? Was Donnell on it?
Donnell, Charlamagne, Lil Duval, Pete Davidson, Krista Stefano. I mean, I think Nicole Byer, Jessime. I mean, like so many, Carly Aquilino. Like, dude, so many people that are popular or doing well right now. Damian Lemon, like all these people came out of that show. It was pretty insane.
I remember seeing it, and it didn't connect with me because I was older.
For sure.
And so, but I knew Donnell real well, and I was like, oh. And I watched it a couple times, and I was like, I was like, okay, I get this. And then I was like, I wish they did one of these. I remember me and my buddy Dan Adler, we were like, we wish we did one of these for married men.
Yeah.
Like a married guy, like a married version would be like for all the shit that we were thinking at the time. But that, and then all of a sudden, all you guys showed up on my radar immediately at the same time.
Right.
I mean, to this day, Chris DiStefano makes me laugh harder than any fucking one human being.
He's so funny, dude.
And I remember getting introduced to Giannis through that whole group. It was almost like Sal Vulcano introduced me to everyone.
Yeah, Chris and Giannis got a great podcast called History Hyenas. It's so funny. And Giannis got a new special out now.
You helped make,
right? I shot it for him, and I just wanted to I don't know. I was in a good situation. I feel like if you're in a good situation, you should help the people around you that deserve it. And he definitely deserved it. So now he's putting out the clips and, going through that.
And so then let's talk about your, because I think this is probably the thing comics talk about the most is the way you look at the business.
Yeah.
The way you approach the business. I would like to hear why you approached it the way you did.
Yeah.
Because I know, I feel like I feel kin to you in this, in that I took a different approach to the business at a certain point, but for me it was out of frustration.
Yeah, for me it was out of like zero opportunity. It's like you don't become a boxer unless you have nothing else you can do, type of thing, right? Like nobody's got a job playing basketball and they're like, I want to box now, right? If you get punched in the face for a living, it's because that's the only fucking option you have. I think Brendan Shaw was the one that kind of like put that out there in the world for me. He was like, yeah, it's like these guys aren't the best athletes in the world. They're the best athletes willing to get punched in their face, right? And there's a big distinction between that shit.
That's the fucking truth. They're the best athletes
that are willing to get their fucking heads kicked, right? So for me, I just had no other option. Like no networks were giving me any play. Like I had all this success on TV.
Get me to the point. Like I want to know, like, you do put some years on it. Like you do Guy Code.
Okay, Guy Code. I got an MTV deal. I got 2 of my own shows that I'm hosting on MTV. I'm doing all these shows. I'm like the guy. I was hosting Spring Break. I was like the guy at MTV. It's a dream gig. It's awesome, right?
Dream gig.
My approach the entire time.
Happy at the time?
Yeah, it was cool. Like my approach the entire time was like, as long as I'm in front of people, I can bring them over to Twitter or whatever the fuck was the social media thing at that time. Mm-hmm. And then once I have a way to access them, I can go sell tickets on the road. Everything was about doing the road. Like I didn't care about like being in movies or any of this kind of shit. I would do a sitcom just so I had. But so I had all this, success in TV. I had the sitcom, this Benders, and like I did a couple like small things in movies, but the stand-up industry never let me in at all. And I'm doing all this just so I could do stand-up. So I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And they just refused.
When you say stand-up industry, you mean Comedy Central? Do you mean the clubs?
Comedy Central. The clubs were always fine because the clubs just cared about if you sold tickets or if you could be funny.
You're talking about road clubs, not New York clubs. New York clubs you worked at.
New York clubs, road clubs, I was getting in pretty easy. Okay. Road clubs, I got to give credit to my agent, TJ Mark Walter. He started getting me in. But it was one of those things where it's like, if you can kill, there are not that many people that can kill. And if you can, and I'm talking about really kill. I'm not talking about like what people think is killing.
There's two different versions of killing.
Yeah.
In my perception now.
Right.
Like I remember road killing, and road killing is a muscle that not everyone has.
Right.
So like what I do now is different than what I did on the road. What I do now is a little more structured because it's in a theater.
Right.
But man, there are a few people that can go in like a wave, read the room, give you jokes that they've pre-written, but make you feel like you're catching it in the moment. Mm-hmm. And it's a real, man, you see someone do it right, like Dave Attell, and you're just Doug Stanhope, you're in the back, doubled the fuck over.
Can you destroy the point where like it's hard for the wait staff to serve drinks?
Where you see waiters and waitresses stopping what they're doing,
laughing,
breathing.
And it's that it's a different level. So it's like that if you could do that, you're going to be up in the clubs. So I got up in the clubs in New York pretty easy, and I was doing the road. And once I was given the opportunity to get into the road, I was good. I was never like an industry darling, if you will. I was never one of these guys.
I was never one of those. The top 10 comics to watch out of Montreal.
Nobody doing well is
someone who's never done comedy.
Yeah,
but someone who's
they're wrong every time.
Yeah,
like if you look at the guys that right now, those of us that are like selling out theaters and shit, none of us were that.
None of us.
Literally,
no one's
none
ever
of us
put Bill
were
Burr
that.
on a list.
Exactly.
Rogan Rogan, I mean, just to put it in perspective, wasn't on the top 10 earning comedians, wasn't on the top 10 most influential comedians, wasn't it? I mean, they wrote an article about Conan,
but you know what that is, right?
Podcasting.
That's old media trying to like get some real estate in new media, right? That's like, so Variety wrote this article like Conan O'Brien and the other people leading the
love
podcast
Conan, by the way.
revolution. No, nice guy, but what that is old media going, oh shit, we were late to this podcasting game. How can we make the world think that we are the ones that run podcasting? Because that's their value, right?
Yeah.
Like they have no value. The Hollywood thing is smoke and mirrors. It's like, I was talking to a buddy of mine today who's kind of like in this Hollywood thing, and I was saying I was going to go to do somebody's shit. I was going to go to do someone's podcast, not yours or someone else. And he goes, oh, you're doing that guy's podcast? I'm like, you don't get it. Like, it's not like the hip person that you put in a room. Like, your value now is based on, you're following the people that you have. We all have our cults, and those cults matter. It doesn't matter what the execs think. Like, their opinions mean nothing anymore.
Nothing.
They're no different than like, people who are like stock traders.
Yeah.
Right? A stock trader doesn't trade the company he thinks is cutest, right? It's like, this company is going to kill it. Let's trade it.
The person who's making the top 10 comics to watch, their podcast has no listeners.
Yes.
I mean, that's the fundamentals of what has happened. The industry darlings.
Right. Yeah.
The darlings.
Yeah.
Their podcasts, and they have them because their agent told them, you need a podcast. That's how you get a second house. Look at all these guys killing it. Get a podcast, man. Get it monetized. Yeah. They don't know any of the any of it. Their podcast has no one on it. And they're hitting me up going, hey, man, can I get on your podcast?
That's the thing. It's like, you shouldn't even need to ask. Like, I really believe it. Like, that's the greatest advice that I can give to people is like, don't ask to be on a single podcast. You'll be asked when the time is right.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I've never asked Rogan. I didn't ask you.
I've never asked.
It's as simple as like, you'll be doing enough, and then people will notice that you're doing it, and they'll go, I'd love to bring you on my podcast because I either want to give you more exposure because you're being true to the game and you're good for comedy, or I'm a personal fan of you, or you're bringing so much value. I want my fans to see this value that you're bringing.
It's interesting because
people swear they're going to make it off of like, they think they're going to make it just because of one podcast or like one clip. Like what I try to explain to them, like my whole philosophy is like, if you go viral, but you got nothing else for them to watch, you didn't go viral.
Wow. Jim Jeffries sat there a few days ago, saying practically the same thing. It's because he went viral off of getting punched in the head at the Comedy Store. But what everyone forgets is he had a wealth of material online that you could find. Bill Burr went viral because of the Philly rant, but he had a wealth of material you could find. Rogan went viral off the Carlos Mencia clip, but there was a wealth of material you could find. I went viral off the Machine story, but there was a wealth of material. What that is imperative. If you want to go viral, first, put out a bunch of good shit. Put out a bunch of good shit. And when I say a bunch, I mean, you need to have at least 250 videos on the YouTube that you didn't put up, that other people put up. Like, it's insane to me.
They just want the shortcuts to the game, man. They want shortcuts to, success. But the reality of the matter is like, that's how I've been thinking about it. I'm putting it out constantly. And you know what I mean? This one clip that I put out, it might not do well this week, but they might catch it a year from now.
God damn it. Let me tell you something. You know what I said to Skur the other day? He goes, what were you going to do if that dancing video didn't do well? Yeah. I go, it wouldn't do well. I'll just do another video next week. Like, that's the point, is that you can't go.
We're in the content game. And we're in a content game. Content wins.
Yeah.
I don't know when this podcast coming out. Right now it is September 2nd or some shit?
Yeah.
It's September 3rd. Okay. Right now it's September 3rd. By the time this episode comes out, and this is crazy to say, but by the time this episode comes out, nobody will be talking about Chappelle's special anymore. Now, this is crazy to say because right now all of us have just watched this amazingly beautiful, poignant piece of work.
Yeah.
Right? And we're like, this is it. Comedy is back. All this kind of stuff. If we forgot about what happened last week, Epstein killed himself.
Right. Yeah.
They released one chicken sandwich, and we don't give a fuck about Epstein being murdered in the prison, right?
They released the fucking chicken sandwich, and everyone forgets about Epstein's murder.
We forgot it, right? Something will happen, and this thing is gone. The game is not won by big splashes anymore. The game is won by relentless content over.
Yeah.
Do you remember when 50 Cent and Rick Ross were beefing?
Yeah.
And 50 kept coming at Rick, and Rick didn't say shit, just kept putting out banger.
Yeah.
Banger. Rick won that beef just by putting out hit after hit after hit. So if the dancing video doesn't work, it doesn't matter. It goes to oblivion.
Yeah, put in another one.
The next thing might work. But if you're consistently putting shit out, you're consistently in people's eyes and ears, you can actually make moves in this business.
It is, that, I mean, not to share people's business model.
Sure.
But I don't think this is any secret. I remember Joe saying to me, double down on this fucking podcast.
Yeah.
Put out more, do 2 a week. Put out more podcasts. And you start, and he's like, this is the podcasting for me has been a game changer.
Oh, for sure.
But putting out 2 Bears, 1 Cave, my cooking show, my podcast.
Great.
I put out the Something's Burning audio. I put out Instagram stories 3 times a week.
Yeah.
I do nonstop Insta stories. Oh.
You're in their eyes, man.
And
You're in their ears.
I think it's I thought about it the other day. I was like, I think there's people who have blown up on like not huge, but have blown up subtly because they are in pictures that are taken at the Comedy Store. Like every time you see a picture, they're always like in on one of those pictures. Everyone's like, oh, I got to check that guy out. Like, it's so crazy.
But you have to have someone to check out. To me, it's like blowing up is no different than a balloon, right? It's like little breaths, little breaths, little breaths, little breaths, little breaths. And then there's one breath that just pops a balloon. Mm-hmm. But it's not the one breath that pops it. It's the 1,000 breaths that even got it to that point.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like that for me, that I think is the lesson learned. Like that's why, like with the last special that I put out, right? That's why
Which one? Crowd work?
The crowd work one, right? And it's like, that's why I can put that out is because like I've built up, that's why I can put that out and it be that long. Like I put a 35-minute piece out and people were happy it was 35 minutes because I built the tolerance up. Like people who go, I want an hour special. And it's like, people don't want to talk to you for 5 minutes. Yeah. You have to earn their respect. Mm-hmm. Like you have to earn their time. Like if you're a brand new person to them, put out clips. And then once you earn their time, put out 15.
But there's something that you've done that has not happened to everyone, where it's you've put out clips and people have attached to you. I'm speaking about other friends, and I've talked to them about this, and I think where the disconnect, like say like Mark Norman, great friend of mine.
Yeah.
Great friend of yours too. We're all cool with Mark, but I'm saying like one of Mark's hiccups is he's putting out content, and it's getting 1 million views, but no one's following him on Instagram through it.
Yeah.
And you circumnavigated that somehow and made your content personal, whereas then you created a pirate ship within your content that people gravitated towards and fell in love with you it's insane because I often look at comics, like I'll scroll on Instagram sometimes and I'll just go, but why you? Like not being a dick, but I go, but like a very, like I saw a comedian the other day, it was like a slow talking black comedian. And I was like, I've already seen someone do that. And I just flicked it. And I was like, so what do you think it is?
It's more than the joke. I think that the joke has to be an extension of you. When I'm telling a joke, I feel a way about this. And I might not tell you about a story about when I was a kid, but I'm in every one of my bits.
Does
that make sense? Like
I know it makes sense to me. I don't think you understand what you said.
Right.
It makes sense to me. And I'll explain to you how I perceive it.
Yeah.
In your crowd work special.
Right.
You talk about things where I realize that in the fact that you're talking about, Halston and I just had this conversation about you walking to get coffee.
Right.
We go, wow, man, there's a lot more to this guy than he's letting on. his knowledge about Indian culture, his knowledge about certain things immediately. And I don't think you're doing it purposefully. I think you're just being who you are.
Right.
But it paints a much broader picture of you in that I go, this is more of a global dude in that he's got black friends, Indian friends, Jamaican. He knows.
Right.
He's listened a lot more than he's talked.
Right.
I don't think this goes without saying, but like you go, he really doesn't see, he's not racist. He's calling shit as he calls it, but you're not saying that out loud. Where a lot of comics go, I'm not racist. I got a black friend. You're just explaining via a conversation with a black guy that you know as much about his culture as he does.
Don't tell, show. That's what I've always, tried to live by. Lil Duval really articulated that beautiful to me, but beautiful to me.
Don't get me started on Little Duval.
I love Duval, man.
Duval.
That's my OG.
He's
genius. Go check out
I'm
Lil
living my
Duval.
life. I'm living my best life.
Dude, he's on a different level with everything. But so for me, okay, if I'm gonna say what's in the sausage, if you will.
Okay.
I guess the difference I would say is I'm addressing things that I think culture needs to be addressed. So I'm saying the things I think people are feeling, but they don't know how to articulate. And I feel like if I have a competitive advantage in this business, it might be I can notice those things before most people, and I can produce the content before as well because I'm putting it myself. You know what I mean? So even with my last special, Views from the Sis, right? And it did millions of views and all this stuff, but I touched on a lot of the things you see Dave touching on Sticks and Stones, right? And that's not that Dave didn't have these thoughts, but Dave still has to film a special in a theater, and it has to be edited, and Netflix has to put it out. Whereas I'm on tour in Europe, I've finished the tour, I'm in with my editors, and then we got this thing out immediately, right? Yeah. And it's so I was able to really double up my audience, obviously thanks to Rogan and thanks to all these guys who supported, simply because I touched on a cultural code that needed to be touched on. Mm-hmm. So with this special, the reason I did the crowd work one is because I don't subscribe to this idea that we don't have a sense of humor, right? Everybody's oh, people can't laugh, and comedy's dead, and this, that, the other. I got the most diverse audience in comedy, right?
You definitely do.
Hands down. So what I did is I do a crowd work special where I'm making fun of the black guy, the Indian guy, the white girl, the Korean dude. Everybody's getting it. All the different races are getting it, right? And you see them laughing at themselves.
Yeah.
So you can't, you're never going to see backlash about my special because you can't be offended on behalf of the person who's laughing.
Yeah.
The biggest issue I think with a lot of specials is you'll see a comic, make a joke about, Asians or this, that, the other, and you see no Asian representation laughing at the bit. Now, I don't think you should do cutaways to that one Asian person in the audience laughing at your bit. That being said, if you're doing crowd work, you are talking to that guy.
You're getting, but God damn it, I had a great thought. You're getting audiences that we got on the road, very diverse audiences, but we got them in a papered room. You're getting them to buy tickets,
that's it.
Because it's bizarre. But I'm talking the demographics.
Yeah, but because my demo isn't based on identity, right? I think so many comics and so many people in general build their audiences based on identity. It's I'm the Indian guy, or I'm the Persian guy, whatever it is, right? It's that's never been my thing. Because I've never built it like that, I've built it on flagrancy, right? I built it on, I'm going to say the fucked up jokes and have the fucked up takes. I'm going to say that animals should die. I'm going to say global warming's good.
Yeah.
And the reality is, this is gonna seem wild, but that's the only humor that lasts. People don't realize this, but street jokes that have been around for 300 years.
Oh yeah.
A priest, a rabbi, and whatever the Muslim one goes, imam go into a bar or whatever. Mm-hmm. All those jokes circulate around 4 punchlines, right? It's homophobia, anti, Semitism of religion, racism, pedophilia. Mm-hmm. The worst, scariest things are the punchlines of every single one of those jokes. And it's because jokes should deal with the worst and scariest things. Yep. That's why we have humor. This shit where you make jokes about shit that everybody already agrees about, that comedy doesn't exist. That dies. Yeah. You will be forgotten. If you're a comic and everything is, hey, women should be in power, shouldn't they? And all the crowd go, yes, they should. No one will remember you in 10 years.
Well, I think I saw some of that happening in New York when I was in New York, and what I noticed is that the amount of words they were using to get somewhere were so many because they had to state their viewpoints first.
Oh, God.
That it was like that you were losing me as an audience member, not as a politically. You weren't losing me. You were keeping me on board, but I would just rather hear the joke and know. And that's what you do is you're telling the joke, but you're not going like, hey man, I got an Indian friend, and that's how I know this information you're about to get. We're actually really close, and I've had dinner with his families, and
no, hey, what kind of fucking Indian are you?
Yeah, Sikh. Oh, you got the bracelet?
Boom.
Yeah. Oh, the
We're
bracelet.
Right into it.
And all of a sudden you're talking about this. I'm sitting there interested.
Well, that's the thing about, at least for me, is that like if I make fun of you, I know about you. Right. And I think that if you talk to minorities, they're totally fine with you cracking jokes. Everybody cracks jokes. They just don't need the same hacky shit that they've dealt with their whole lives. So if you're looking at a sick Indian dude,
whoa, stop right there.
Yeah.
So I saw a fucking interview.
Yeah.
That may be the fucking the source code in all of this.
If you know something about people, like I'm making fun of these Nigerians to their face, but I know a couple cultures, and all it was is the littlest thing for them to be like, oh shit, he actually has he's taken interest in our culture. All right, shit, go for it. Make fun, do whatever you want. It's like you just have to know the tiniest little thing.
The littlest thing. I used to say Filipinos all have the most American names. And I go, what's your name, ma'am? I mean, without fail, Mary. And it was just, but like if you knew a little bit, you were given a big
Go
berth.
as far as you want. Go as far as you want. You have extended the olive branch by even taking an interest in my culture. You know, and it's that simple. If you're talking about Filipinos like they're Chinese people, they're like, why would I reward this?
Yeah.
I can't reward that.
Why would I reward this? The interview I saw was about Chappelle. It was from it was a guy who was a fan of Chappelle's from Young Turks, and this transgendered lady.
Yeah.
I don't know if I always fuck it up. It's she was a man, she's a woman now.
Whatever. Tranny. That's what I call it.
So she was saying, which was really interesting. She was like, you could see the guy say this and get nervous that he said it. And I'm remembering in my,
right.
But he was like, there's got to be something funny about being transgendered, like the predicament.
Yeah.
And then I could see that he felt like he was taking Chappelle's stance. And then she says, oh no, there is a lot of comedy in what has happened to me. Like there is a lot of comedy in that. She goes, I just didn't find that certain take original. I've heard that before. And so I'd hope from Chappelle that it would be something different. And I went, that's interesting is I didn't technically, I mean, I find Chappelle brilliant. I find that whole special great.
Yeah.
But that I definitely, what if I was Chinese, if I identified black? I was like, I didn't find that hysterical.
I mean, the special in general, I didn't really laugh that much.
Yeah.
I just thought it was genius.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember Carlin's late specials?
No, I was never.
I wasn't a big Carlin fan, but like, but
I know that's sacrilege to say.
No, it's not. But like Carlin's later specials would be filled with these genius points about culture in the world, and he earned that equity and patience in his crowd. And I think that Chappelle is the greatest orator of our generation. He's the greatest storyteller of our generation. 100%. But if you're watching that, going, how many times did I bend over laughing? Yeah. You're not gonna. It to me, it's not delirious. It's not Killing Him Softly. Like there were things from
I didn't
Chappelle.
Like Killing Him Softly. I liked not the
you like the San Francisco one,
not the Birdman special, but the one before that, like not the Bird Revelations,
right.
But the kicker in the pussy joke had me doubled over.
Yeah.
Kicker in the pussy was like, I was like, that is what this guy. Yeah. That is I'm so dope. I write punchlines and put them in a bowl.
No, dude, he's genius, and the casing for his bits is genius. There's no question.
I listen to him. I love listening to him.
Exactly. And that's the thing. So it's like, I think what this special is, the reaction of the special is more seeing someone at the top of the business, right? Seeing someone at the very top of the business address everyone's feelings about political correctness and cancel culture. Yeah. And I think the incredibly positive reaction to it was seeing that addressed more so than I laughed so hard I couldn't even fucking breathe. Like if you watch Patrice O'Neal's Elephant in the Room, you're gonna laugh more than this Chappelle special, but that doesn't mean that this Chappelle special wasn't more poignant or intriguing. It
was neat to see him lean onto the sword for us as comics and go hey guys, just so you know, none of us are getting in trouble anymore.
That's it.
Like that was really brilliant for him to say. Yeah. Because when you just say, I don't believe them motherfuckers about Michael Jackson's accusers, you're like, well, man, you're not supposed to say that at all. Yeah. And he said it. Yeah. And then he said, well, what were they wearing? I'm what they call a victim blamer.
You know what? I thought he was going to go a different way with that bit, which I thought would be like so easily relatable, which is like every parent is a victim blamer. Like your kid comes home bleeding, you're like, what did you do? Right? Like,
never once have my daughters ever been innocent. They've never come home like,
right?
So I got suspended because my teacher's a lunatic.
What'd you do?
That's not what fucking happened.
So it's like, I thought he was going to go with victim blaming in that regard, because as a parent, the first option is victim blaming your kids. And then as a parent, how could you not relate to that statement?
Oh, Isla, we got a call one time. Isla's my youngest, right? The one that's dyslexic, really dyslexic.
Right. How does she spell her name?
Not right. So
you gave her the trickiest fucking name.
This fucking idiot wrote on her PE jersey, Isla K, but put all the letters too close and was marked tardy, absent for the entire semester because the teacher thought her name was Ilac. We got a phone. That's a really interesting statement. We got a phone call one day. We were looking at houses, me and Leanne, and we got a call from the school, and they're like, "There's been an incident at the school." Yeah, and we're like, "Okay," and they're like, "What's going on?" They're like, "Someone has threatened to murder Isla," and immediately we're like, "You got the right kid, okay." And then they're like, "No, it's actually more serious than that." He said he's going to go and get a gun and bring it to school tomorrow. And we're like, "All right." And they're like, "We just want to give you a heads up." And immediately we're like, "What did you do to the kid?" And Isla's like, "What do you mean? What did I do? What? How come I'm to blame?" And you're like, because no one just threatens to murder. Literally, the kid's getting kicked out of school. He's no longer in school. He's no longer in that school. What did you do to start this? Because I don't believe it's just that kid. Yeah. She was like, "Dad, sometimes it's just that kid." I go, "Nah, sometimes it's not." Like, what did you do? And she goes, "Okay, well, if you had to put blame on anyone, it would really be on my friend." But like, it's interesting.
We victim blame. Mm-hmm. This idea that you shouldn't victim blame is absurd, because we literally victim blame with every if you come home and there's something spilled on the carpet, you are blaming. Well, I guess the carpet would be the victim in that circumstance, but it doesn't matter. Whatever the fuck it is, you victim blame. And like,
did you just lay there?
Yeah. You just get walked all over all day. You fucking pussy.
You get walked on all fucking day. You never stand up for yourself, and now you got ketchup on you. Well, you deserve it. Fucking, did you even move? That's a. So wait. So let's. I want to pivot. Yeah. I want to talk straight logistics. I don't know if you can. I don't know.
Can I use the bathroom real quick? Is that cool?
Yeah, of course.
Where's it, inside?
Piss out by the fucking palm
by the
tree.
rats?
Yeah, no, right here.
Dude,
right
by the rat climbs up my fucking dick, bro.
By the way, they've seen my dick all the time. They're fine. Just right by. Take a left right here. You'll see where I pee. How long have we been doing so far?
Like an hour and 8.
An hour and 8?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
1 hour, 8 minutes.
We'll just keep this rolling.
Dude, there seriously were so many rats. I went out there and they all started running out. There's like 6 of them.
Hey, how funny would it be if Andrew was taking a shit right now? If he was just shitting out by the fucking tree?
There is a chance that rats can bother him though right now. They're pretty close.
There's so many fucking rats.
I've never seen that many before. Whitney was like, there are rats right there.
God damn it. We need a new fucking house.
It's time.
I have no interest in doing a spot tonight. You safe? Safe. What I want to talk about
logistics.
Like, and this is, I think this is very inside baseball.
Okay.
But I'm curious, how many of your shows you tape?
Everyone.
How many people you bring with you to shoot? the problems that arise in certain clubs, what clubs won't allow you to shoot.
Yeah.
I'm like curious if you're wearing a mic at times or
Right.
if you're just plugged into the board. And I'm curious what your turnaround on a video, on an average video is.
Okay, so
Because
I film every show.
You film everything.
So I take my guy, Alex Media. He's my video guy. He does all the stuff with me, records the podcast as well. But like, we're putting out all the content. He's filmed the last 2 specials. Now I also take another guy, Mark Gagnon, on the road for me. He opens for me, but he's also part of the team and he does, editing and video stuff. So like everybody wears multiple hats in this regard. So they both come on with me everywhere. I tape every single show. So I could do 8 shows in a weekend. We'll tape every single show. And just so that we could have 1 minute, there might be one moment for 5 minutes that's gold. But in order to get a moment where like I'm roasting some guy who was a convicted murderer, in order to get that moment, you got to tape every show.
Yeah.
You can't hand pick, right? So we tape every single one, and that's where we get our clips.
Do you find that I had a film crew traveling with me for a while to do a documentary, and I found myself I was shocked at how often I did the same act.
Yeah.
And then I was shocked at like, in order to get stuff for the camera, the ridiculous chances I was taking.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like for me, I like fucking around with the crowd because it like locks me in and it, creates some separation. I get to work out new material. And also like every city I'm going into, I'm working on material for that city. So like, because we do the travel show, the dropping in.
Yeah. What's that?
So dropping in is just like my travel show. Like every different city I go perform in, I do this, like we go check out the city, go check out some food there, go party. And then I'll start it with a bit and then I'll end it with a bit. And usually the bit that I end it with or that I start with is informed by the experience. So we're in Washington, D.C., and, we went and checked out like the Lincoln Memorial. Have you seen the Lincoln Memorial? Yeah. And like, the bit I think was like, Lincoln's the blackest president. He's, like Obama's black, but he's not the blackest. And then like, I mean, have you seen the Lincoln Memorial? Like it's behind bars, and if you know the Lincoln Memorial, he's literally in like a prison cell. Yeah. And then I just go like, victim of senseless gun violence, whatever. I just like say all the other, like the other shit, the penny. And so it's a coin of color. So I basically like find bits from each city and then I'm putting those in the dropping in series. And then any kind of like crowd work or interesting moments that pop up, I get to, put out. But like the crazy thing is in the last 7 months, I've put out 4 hours of stand-up. It's unreal, the pace.
But do you feel like...
that's not including my current hour that I'm touring. So I released the crowd work special. I released my last special. I have a new hour, and all the other stuff in between is like local things, these little crowd work moments, kind of wild shit that happens at the shows, etc.
Do you feel like any of it you wish you'd held on to and not? Like,
so there was a crowd work moment in the special that I think could have been a great bit if I just had more time with it, and it was the Epstein shit.
Oh yeah, okay.
And it was like the bit we were talking about sexual slavery, and I was like, say what you want about sexual slavery, but it's the best type of slavery. And I think that for me, that's a perfect joke for me because I love that. Just not justifying, but going, this is the best. You have to, if you had to choose a slavery, right?
Yeah,
like you have to admit. So it's like that for me could have been way bigger and like grown into like a real fucking chunk.
Yeah.
But I wanted to, release it in its most natural form, which was what happened at the show.
There is a weird thing that's going on now with seeing, it used to be that people put out specials once every 18 months. Yeah. Now with content going out like that, it's almost like, do you remember the movie Far and Away with Tom Cruise?
No.
I don't know. It's hard to explain, but there was after the Louisiana Purchase, there was a moment where they basically sectioned off properties and said, all right, everyone get on horseback, take off and claim your property. Right. And there is a weird sense of like the people that staked it, like almost like I'm the guy that does this. Like, it's like,
I lost a bit in the Chappelle special.
Which one?
My Michael Jackson bit. I mean, we covered the same shit.
Yeah.
So I got to kill that joke because it's Chappelle.
I watch Chappelle's special going, please do, and that's almost why I moved away from anything topical.
Oh, I completely get what you're saying.
Because I was like, I got to a place where I was like covering topics that I felt everyone was covering.
Yep.
And so I was like, I need to make it about me. So like I have a gun bit, but in order to get a gun bit, and this does become problematic, I need to go buy a gun.
Yeah.
So like, and that's my gun bit, is my experience buying the gun.
And it is so awesome if you can do that, but you can also do that because you built up a loyal following that cares about you enough.
Or a trust that I get cheat laughs where I can go, it's almost like, it's cheat code into comedy is like, you can make like, there's a joke I have about my daughter saying a word and it gets the biggest laugh I have in the thing. And it is technically not funny. But
that's the thing. Like, I think people misunderstand funny. I don't think you can make funny. I think funny exists.
It's like she says it and people, it's like that's
exists, bro. Like I was trying to explain this to Mark, like my opener, like he's so funny. He's got like great, like, and he's got great joke writing and stuff like that. But like, I just kind of like locked in on something with him. Like I made it so whenever I say the word chicken, he laughs.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know. I locked it in. I put the hooks in. And whenever I say it, he can't not laugh. And it drives him fucking crazy because he's like, I don't understand the science of this. Like, I don't understand why this is funny. And it's just my way of trying to explain to him, like, funny is there. And if you're a good comic, you open up a window to it and everybody gets to look at it. And then you just close the window. Nobody's making funny. And the people who like make funny, they're not funny. Like the word problem comics, it's not really that funny.
There's some comics where I go, I remember when we first, especially when we started, remember Bobby, Kelly and I being in the back going like, it's clever. The math of it adds up. It just, I'm not laughing.
Exactly. Like even look at like, you look at like a Mitch Hedberg who's like a super, you could argue math comic because he has the clever stuff, but you're actually laughing at Mitch and the jokes are a vessel to laugh at Mitch.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
oh, dude, one of my favorite jokes ever is he's like, you ever hear a song and it brings back a memory? Oh, hands across America, or not hands. What was the fucking? We Are the World. Remember the time I finger fucked you by that? You know, like.
But it's like the in between this joke stuff shit too that you're laughing at, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I guess that's what I would say is the big difference maker. A lot of times is like you have to be the joke, and if you're just like a person who just like writes clever jokes, to the average person watching, right, on social media, you're no different than a meme page. And nobody cares about watching the meme page live.
It's interesting.
Right? Because you're just saying something clever, just like a meme says something clever. What they want to do is feel who you are, your experience, and they want to look at you and go, well, how do I feel? Don't say the most clever thing about a subject. Say what you fucking feel about it. Like, because they want to know, shit, well, I feel like that finally someone said it. Or that's a great perspective. Like, Bill Burr is not going, what is the most clever take about guns? Bill Burr is saying how the fuck he feels about guns. And if how he feels isn't funny, he doesn't tell the joke. And if how he feels is, he does.
That is a really interesting perspective because there are people.
They just write they're like, I want to write a joke about Uber. Why? Why?
Yeah.
What good does that do?
There was a lot of guys when I first started that I felt like they just went through the list of things that other comics talked about and wrote their take on it, like taxis, subways. And I remember not being able to do that because I would like go into a subway and then, you know, when you're young, you're with your notebook and you're like, and subways. So like these poles, they're like stripper poles, huh? Right? Stripper poles. And then you're like, huh? And then it wasn't until I had an experience on a subway that I go, oh, that's my subway joke.
That's my subway because I feel fucking some way about this. I can't write a single bit about something I don't feel a way about, which is annoying when you got to lose a bit. Like the bit that I had to lose is annoying because I felt that way about it and I was really plugged into that. And like, we just came to similar conclusions, but he's so big that you just can't do it.
There's a lot of people that I think there's a lot of actually parallel thinking that happened for the first time ever with Chappelle.
The greatest thing with with the internet and like us all posting clips is you're going to see so much more parallel thinking. And then people are going to go, oh, not everything is theft. There are people who steal and we know who the fuck they are and we write them out.
Yeah.
But there's also just a lot of people who are going to take a certain take and multiple people put out. And then the reality is it's like whoever's biggest or whoever's first to market tends to win that.
I had a joke that was almost identical to a Tony Hinchcliffe joke.
Yeah.
And one of my friends was like, yo, you might have seen Tony do this. I go, no.
Yeah.
I wrote this joke fucking 10 years ago.
And he's never saw you do it.
And he never saw me
but
do it.
You both came to the same conclusion.
Yeah, it's like ultimately someone's going to go, you know, why aren't they making baby powder for black people? Like it's a fucking, at some point someone's going to go, so it's all white? Like it's.
That's great.
And so, yeah, but it's like, and then I just lose it because I don't ever want Tony to think that I saw him.
Right.
And then I don't ever want to put it in the position of like, hey Tony, I got mine. I've been doing it 10 more years longer than you. Just respect. Dude. Like I just go, you know what? I got to move those jokes out of my act.
If I see someone doing a bit that's similar to me, I go up to them and I say, hey, I just want to let you know I have this bit. Especially if I've put it out there already.
Yeah.
Because if I put it out there already and it's gotten like millions of views, I want to let a young comic know that so that he doesn't go on a show and these people who probably know me and have seen me are going to say, oh, he's just taking that Schulz thing.
Yeah, because that's people's initial knee-jerk reaction is, oh, he's a thief.
Exactly, right? So it's like, and I had this kid who was open for me and funny fucking kid, and he just had a take that was similar to an older bit that I had, and he was opening for me. And we're in this fucking theater in Chicago, and I was like, hey, I just want to let you know, because I did a pop-up show the night before, and I was like, hey, I just want to let you know, I have a bit that's similar to that. My audience might be aware of it. You do whatever you want to do. This is up to you. I don't think you've ever seen that bit. You know, I'm not accusing anything. I just want to give you the best possible situation where you could kill. Mm-hmm. And if you do that, there's probably going to be people in the audience going, hey, ain't that? Yeah. That Schulz bit? That's my thing. Dude, get it out there.
So how do you discern what material you're willing to put out on the internet versus what material you want to hold for whatever? I mean, I know there's been offers. I know that there's been offers for more mainstream media specials.
Yep.
But like, how do you determine this is good for the internet versus? I mean, because in my book, I mean, I'm old school with this in the sense of putting out material. I don't want anything out there because everything's game for me. Like when I go into a special, I want 2 hours of material and I want to take 3 months to whittle that down to my hour. And then what I don't use, I use for the next special.
Right.
How do you determine?
So I try to have the interactions that I'm having with people on the road.
But see, my interactions spawn bits. Like my interactions, my interaction, my comeback, all of a sudden I'm like, okay, that's like perfect.
If I want to go.
No, perfect example. The period party joke that I had was based off of crowd work.
Yeah.
Because Isla had her period. She threw a period party. I had my experience with it.
Yeah.
But I started it as crowd work of going like, telling the story about what had happened.
Yeah.
But as I worked the bit with the audience, and I videotaped it.
Yeah.
But as I worked the bit with the audience, I went, oh shit, this could be like
this
a
got
legit
legs.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was like, all right, take that video, watch it a few times, rewrite it, rework it.
I'll know by the end of a weekend.
I was tempted
to put it out.
And then even still, I put it on Conan and it goes viral. And then I'm like, fuck.
Well, that's a tricky thing for you. You got to be careful with that. But like for me, it's just, okay, I have what I'm doing as the hour and I'm building the arcs out and I'm figuring out what these things are. And like, before I put my special out, I got to see what Chappelle does and Bert does. Because in my mind, those are the guys I'm competing with, right? It's like, we're having takes on these topics and we need to have the best and most original takes, right?
Yeah.
I'm not competing with you because I'm not talking about your family.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about your experiences and I'm not in your lane. You're at the top of your lane. So you just competing with other people that are doing similar things as you, right? So it's like, I got to wait till Bill's comes out because I got to make sure there's nothing that we have similar and he's going to be fucking amazing.
His specials, I saw it.
It's amazing.
It's so good.
Dude, I know he's fucking incredible. I saw him working some stuff out. But like, so I need to look at both of those and I got to go, okay, I got to be better than both of these motherfuckers. How long is it going to take me to do that? You know, how long, okay, this has got to go. This isn't funny enough. Bill's was funnier than this, or Chappelle's was funnier than that. That's been said. It's redundant. I don't think Rock's working, but if Rock was working, he's another person that I would like really consider in that regard.
He does that kind of, I mean, that's his.
He's talking about what's happening in the world, and he wants to have a statement about that, and like he wants to move culture in that regard, you know? But yeah, so for me, I have my hour that I tour, and it was most important that I built up the hour first. Once I built up the hour and I have something to tour, I can rip things out, add things. And then if I have an organic crowd work reaction with somebody, and then throughout the weekend it builds into a bit, I might not release that on Sunday. I might go, I got to hold that. That's a good chunk.
But
that Epstein shit, I should have held that Epstein shit.
I know you got the same fucking little trigger finger I got, where you get a good bit, and you're like, this is gonna fucking light up social media.
Yeah,
let me post this, sell some tickets for. I got a tour in Australia. I want to sell some tickets in Brisbane. I know this will work that way. Like it is so hard.
Yeah.
Like I got that dance video on Friday and we didn't release till Monday. I said the whole weekend
I was killing you.
I was like, come on, man,
burning.
What the fuck are we doing?
Yeah. No, I got a little more patience with that because I know that I'm gonna get it out eventually. Like, And the other thing about me is like when I want to let it go, I can let it go. Like at any point in time, I could put it up.
Yeah.
So I'm not waiting for Netflix or like Comedy Central or something to go, okay, we will slate your special for this. It's like, no, I'll put it out if I want, and it's going to hit 1 million people. Or it's going to hit, I don't know, what is the crowd work special at? 500,000? I don't know when we're posting this, but like we're a week in, it's at 500,000. Like for me, that's unbelievable. Like if Comedy Central got 500,000 people watching any of their shows, they'd be through the fucking roof.
Yeah.
You know?
What would sway your emotional turmoil with working with mainstream media right now? Would it be money or freedom?
Nobody. I mean, for me, I always support, like the greater thing for comedy is like letting comics know that they're not dependent on these networks and that they could be dependent on themselves and that, like there is an option, you know? So like that freedom is important to me just because I'm like, you know, some sappy American about it, but like it's also just freedom of content, you know? But if I post my shit for free on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, I'd be stupid to not post it for money on somewhere. Like, that's just petty. There's no enemies in business for me. Like, no. I don't care that these people didn't believe in me. Like, I'm not one of these guys that goes like, oh, you didn't. That's the difference between a boss and a leader. Like a boss is someone who goes, you were a bad employee, or I didn't like this guy, so you'll never hire him again. But a leader lets people convert. Like, I saw my talent when you couldn't. That's not my fault.
Yeah.
That's your fault. You couldn't see it. I have to forgive you for that because I know better than you do. Right? So if now you're a fan, it's like, okay, you get it. There's no harm, no foul. I've gotten offers from these guys.
I don't even think they know. I mean, no offense to the tastemakers in the comedy business, but I think funny is the last thing they have to fucking check on the list. I think for the most part, they're like, what's your footprint like? Like, what are your numbers? Like, how are you good with it? Like,
yeah,
I feel like I remember.
What race are you? What gender are you? We have to make sure it's,
there's so many of those things that are so like part of it where you just go, I remember one of the things that made me really kind of connect with you early on was I'd heard you say, no one was paying attention to you. You weren't a comedy darling, bro. I was never never to the point where I didn't.
Why would you be?
I remember going like, what did I do?
No, let me tell you what you did. You're a well-adjusted human being that can have a conversation and probably got laid when you were younger.
Yeah.
Like the people in this business, right? Imagine what most of our comic friends are, right? Now imagine like the executives in this business, they all wanted to be comics, but they weren't good enough to be comics, right? Or they didn't have the balls to be comics for the most part. You know, I mean, there's some people in this business who like truly love the production aspect of it, but like
I think so.
the majority of these people would love to be comics, right? But they can't. So they relate to the angst, the nerdiness, the social isolation, the being bullied, etc. so much, right? And they never developed the funny to like combat that. Yeah. So when they see a guy like you, they're like, "Oh, you picked on me all through high school."
Oh, 100%.
Right? So why would I give this guy? In their mind, they're like, he already won in life. He knows how to talk to strangers and he doesn't get uncomfortable and start like stuttering. You know what I mean? Like he's won in life. Why should I give him anything? I need to give that guy that is like a social nincompoop a shot, because that is what I believe comedy is in a weird way. I truly believe this. And I don't think it's like evil in a lot of ways. I just think they're doing the best job they can, but they can't remove their ego from it. Like I love businessmen that like, I love a motherfucker that back in the day was like, you don't have it. And then comes to me now and is like, you got it all. Cause he don't care. He don't give a fuck. He just wants to make money. I can do business with you. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like if Israel can sell weapons to Egypt, I can do business with you. You know, it don't matter. They're like, what works out? How do we make this shit work? Like bury the hatchet. Like I got no beef with Netflix. I got no beef with any of these places. I just saw a trend in the business probably before most people. And when I spoke about it, most people thought I was crazy. And now that you see,
I don't think anyone in the business side of it, like anyone working and selling tickets, you know, there's two things I hang my hat on. One is, no one gives a fuck about you except for you.
Facts.
I remember watching Dane just care about Dane and make business happen for Dane. And I remember Bertcast, I love him to death, but him celebrating in Dane's success. And I remember going, no, that Dane did that. Like you definitely helped get whatever he wanted to do right to the right. You did what a manager should do.
Yeah.
But I remember thinking Barry Katz could do that for me. Barry couldn't do anything for me. I needed to do it for myself. It wasn't until I realized that I was already doing stuff for myself. I was like, oh, fuck. And the other thing is, you know, I mean, this is the crazy thing about this business. And it's a little bit of what makes you and Rogan a little bit of outliers, but you need to make other people money. The second you can make other people money, you become so valuable in this business. Like this, you know, I guarantee you Kevin Hart's room is filled with flowers because there's a lot of people who pay their mortgage by Kevin Hart. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people who want to make sure their flowers are the biggest in that room.
Get well soon. Hey, soon. Hey. What's the recovery time? 6 or 8 weeks? Let's make it 6 because I got money to be made off of you soon with capital SOON.
Do you think of yourself as silly?
Yeah, if you don't have silly, you don't have funny, you don't have comedy, bro.
Fuck yes.
Dude,
there's so many guys who lost the silly in this business,
bro.
Where you're like, if you can't get silly anymore, where the fuck, like, what made you so real about things?
Dude, that actually is what lets me get away with everything that I get away with. Is it like, I'm not trying to solve the world.
Yeah.
Like, you find the interesting point and then you add the silly. Mm-hmm. If there's anything that I talk to like comics who are trying to do like tough bits or like trying to take on like really tricky topics, I go, just make it silly. Say your fucking smart point about it, but when you're making them laugh, it's going to be the silly part.
Yeah.
Okay? It's like Chappelle would tell a joke about fucking HIV spreading or something like that, you know, and it was about the guy who slept with a monkey. But the way that he articulated the joke, the way he made you laugh was, what was it? The thing about, because about a guy who fucked a chimpanzee. Yeah. You know, that's how like
I don't remember the bit, but
he was basically saying someone said that like a guy fucked a chimpanzee and that's how AIDS spread, right? Because he fucked chimpanzee and then he was fucking humans. And he was like, you really think that there's a guy out there who was a fucking a chimpanzee on Sunday and then fucking Charlene on a Tuesday? and then he goes, and then he has this act out where he goes, Charlene's such a great name, but he has this act out where he goes, fellas, I'm sorry, I gotta hang out with my chimpanzee. He goes, you don't know how hard it is to get your chimpanzee to suck your dick without peeling it. But like, that's silly. We're talking about a heavy topic. We're talking about the absurdity of that, justification for AIDS. But the it's a dick joke at the end of the day.
Yeah,
it's a silly
dick joke at the end of the day.
Dick joke suck dick banana joke at the end of the day. And it's like, if you lose that, you lose comedy.
When I was young, I remember feeling like there were so many I'd hang out with an older comic, and I'd be like, some of them were just silly, and you could giggle with, like, and you'd be like, God damn it, man. I remember being like, I mean, you're fucking 50 years old, and we're just giggling. Yeah. Robert Schimmel was. I would have no idea how. I mean, when I was young, I thought he was like 70 years old. Yeah, I'm sure he was probably 45. But I remember giggling with him backstage at Caroline's, just giggling. And going like, God, you're a grown-up and you still can giggle.
Yeah, man.
And I think that's the coolest thing about what's going on in the New York scene right now is the New York scene is so heavy with heavy hitters of fucking just great comics that are fun to be around, still fucking excited about the business, such and silly. Like Chris DiStefano, to this day,
he's great.
I love him. He is such a fucking silly person.
He's great.
I saw him and Giannis. I giggle about this. He goes, you got to give it to the Japanese or the Chinese for conquering Japan because, how do they know who's who? And the two of them just start giggling to each other. And you're just, it's one of the reasons I love doing a podcast with Tom is that Tom is silly.
Just be silly, be absurd. Like we were talking about, they were like, fuck, what was it? That China has made the most advanced facial recognition software in the world. And it's like, they better. You know what I'm saying? I could see a couple people counted twice. But it's like, if you lose like a fucking silly stereotype joke that you can have fun with, it's like, what are we doing this for? Like, we want to make people laugh. If we wanted to change the world, we would go do that. Let's be honest. Like, that's the most hilarious thing about these like really political comics is like, I just want to look them on their face and go, you don't care.
Yeah.
You don't care. Because if you did, you would go do something about it.
Yeah.
But you're in Portland at the comedy club. Like, you don't care.
No.
Stop acting like you fucking care.
It is fucking funny to see comics just straight up virtue signal and go,
it's so
and with no joke
gross
about it. And you're like, hey, man, maybe you should get a different job. Because our job is just to giggle.
Dude.
Make people giggle. If you can make them think and giggle, that's great. But definitely giggle first.
Dude, if people aren't laughing,
I know who you're talking about, by the way.
You do?
I know. Oh, yeah. We're all in the same tech circles. We're all texting each other the exact same comics tweets.
You
going
don't
like,
care.
The fuck, bro?
You don't care. Like, and then the hilarious thing to me is like, especially when like the foreign comics come to America and then just like shit on America. And it's like, you begged to be here. You begged, bro. You had to fill out an extensive like visa application where America basically goes, hey, you better kiss my fucking taint if you want to be in America. And you go, well, where is your taint? Uncle Sam, where's your taint? I'd love to kiss it. And the second you get in, you're like, well, how could these Republicans do this? And everybody in the South is stupid. It's like, are you fucking kidding me?
It's crazy that
that we let it happen.
Do you realize how foreign that would be if you went to a foreign country?
Son,
and
they would
like,
crucify an American.
And you're like, the North of England is a bunch of fucking window licking. Like,
redneck.
Everyone would be like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah, who invited you here to talk shit about us? Like, dude, it is mind-boggling to me that we even allow it. Like,
that we even allow it.
Dude,
I remember getting into a fight with...
Because you don't care. Like, you don't care. You don't care enough. Because if you really cared about, like, helping a country, you would start with yours. Right? Like, you would start with your fucking country, right? But you don't care about helping a country. You just want to be famous. And here's the best place to be famous. And the lane for fame that they gave you was shit all over half of America, which is fine. But at least look me in the face and go, dude, I'm a fame whore. I don't care about nothing. I don't care about none of this shit. I don't care about who they vote for. I don't care about Donald Trump. I don't care about Hillary. I care about nothing. I just want to make millions of dollars, and I can't do that in my shitty country. But the idea that we allow it, like, how generous and kind are we?
Oh, it's astounding.
We let people come to our country and make millions of dollars, trashing half of it.
Us.
The balls, the unbelievable arrogance that takes to think that you should be able to do that and walk around the streets. The fact you don't get punched in your head. The fact that you don't get punched in your fucking head is astonishing.
I remember being when they were electing George Bush. I had a bit I was working on that George Bush would go down as the greatest American president there ever was. It was obviously take the opposite angle of everyone.
Love it. Tell me why.
Because he will be known as the guy who started the liberation of Iraq, the liberation of the One day you'll be laying on a beach in fucking Kuwait going, George Bush made this possible.
Yeah.
Oh, look, you can still beat their women. Anyway, the whole. But so I was working on this bit, and sometimes in life you'll have a bit. I'm saying this to the pedestrians,
sure,
and you'll slide it into conversation. And the punchline I loved, which is that I delivered to this woman. We were having dinner, and she was not from America, and she was complaining about George Bush. And I said, well, don't vote for him. And she goes, I can't vote. And I said, then shut your mouth.
And
I go,
true.
you don't hear me. This is my line I loved. You don't hear me pissing and moaning about your group of elders who decide when Carnival is.
Yeah.
And she went, huh? It was like owning my and no one, none of my friends stood by my back. They literally were all like, Bert, calm down. I was like, guys, I'm working on a bit. But but yeah, it's funny that
it's just hilarious because like admit that I just find it inauthentic. Just admit you just want millions of dollars and be famous.
Yeah. Just
admit that. Can you just admit that?
It would be great if you just right before someone special, I know who we're talking about right now, but right before they're like, time to make the sausage. And they're like, this is how the donuts are made every morning, everybody. Well, what's up, you suck-ass Americans? It is kind of bizarre because I traveled abroad a lot myself, and I know you're going to Australia. I know you've just got
Europe,
back from
all that kind of stuff.
But like, you don't. I don't ever go in and trash your country, and I definitely won't go in and shit on America. I don't ever go in, and that was like a big thing. Like when Patrice and I were doing abroad, we did Edinburgh together.
Yeah,
you'd see the Americans be like, "So I'm from America." I know. Trust me, I live there. And you'd be like, "Hey man," I remember Patrice and I being like, "Hey man, then don't go home." Yeah, like how dare you? Because we were both, me, him, and Voss were in this room owning New York, like owning it. Like that's where we're from. Yeah. Like, how dare you? I remember.
Oh, by the way, we can shit on America. Oh. In America. Yeah. Because we don't got a choice to go anywhere else. We have to be here.
I feel like that about Florida. I feel like I can shit on Florida because I'm from Florida.
Yeah, you're from Florida. Like, you had to grow up there. Yeah. So you could say whatever the fuck you want. Oh. But I'm not going to move to Florida and then shit on it. Why did you go?
This place sucks dick.
Yeah.
What's up with the fucking heat?
Whose fault is that? Like, whose fault is that? Dude, it's almost to the point, like, there's a lot of comics that, like, complain about, like, how awful. Well, I don't know, a lot of comics, but there's certain comics that, like, they like, complain about, like, how the awful racism in America. And, of course, there's racism. I'm not kind of playing. But, like, the ones that, like, moved here, like, their parents moved here, it's almost like, you got to take that up with your parents, bro. It's like they knew. You know what I'm saying? They knew what they were getting involved in.
Your parents.
You know what I'm saying? It's not like they didn't look at the news. It's like they were fucking hosing down black people down south, and they're like, we still want to go. It's like you got to talk to your folks about that decision making.
How much of your global awareness is. And I don't mean to discount you.
Go for it.
Obviously, I'm a huge fan of Charlamagne's.
Yeah.
How much of your global awareness is that you hung out with one of the most interesting, articulate, you shouldn't say that about black people, but like literally articulate in so many respects on culture, meaning on culture.
I would say none of it.
Really? Because Charlamagne's fucking, I didn't realize until Rogan just how fucking bizarre that guy is.
He's one of the least cultured people I've ever met in my life.
Oh, no. See, I see it from I'm a big fan of The Breakfast Club, and I love his interviews.
No. He is arguably, I think, undeniably the smartest person I've ever worked with.
He's so fucking smart.
The most rawly talented person I've ever worked with. Like, when you talk about raw talent, just raw talent, like, it is unbelievable, like how he can be in a room with comics and like lighting shit on fire like it's nothing. Like, he is unbelievable, and his ability to market is second to none. Like, if he wanted to open a marketing agency, he could be the best marketing agency in the world. Hands down.
I just see him as talent. I don't see that side of him.
I don't know it. No, for totally. But like that, and his just understanding culture, it's mind-boggling. But like at the end of the day, like, I'm not going to him to like learn about like what happened in India or like what happened in like World War II knowledge and that kind of shit.
I imagine
even American knowledge,
what's happened a lot in our society is like cultural appropriation. A perfect example. Yeah, it's like maybe I still don't really entirely get it.
It's just broke people complain about that. It's like the first thing you do with your culture when you move to a place where you're the minority is you sell it. That is how every minority group makes money. Like Chinese people move to America. What do they open?
Chinese restaurants.
Right. And you let people appropriate the fuck out of your culture, little cardboard box by little cardboard box of rice until you make money and send your kid to Harvard, and then you enter the upper echelons of society.
What is it? Wasn't even a real thing. Was the fucking poo-poo platters? That wasn't even a real thing. It wasn't.
They made up General Tso. There's no General Tso.
Yeah,
they just make shit up. Listen.
You sell it to white people. That's a really interesting perspective. Is
Italians, they do whatever you can sell of yourself. I mean, this is existed as long as culture has been around, right? It's like there will be a shuk in the middle of fucking Morocco, and then all the different cultures will come and bring their shit and they'll sell it at this fair because you can make money off your culture because it's different, right? So the number one thing you should be doing is and here's the thing: if you protect your culture, right, but it's still cool. We gonna want that cool, dude. Like, cause we appropriate cool. We don't appropriate culture. We appropriate the cool shit. My buddy David Wynn had a funny joke about this. He's like Wu-Tang Clan appropriated, karate. Yeah. They didn't appropriate violin lessons.
Yeah.
Right? Like the jizzle wasn't,
bro.
You know what I mean? Like strumming that shit.
Did you ever
or
see
whatever.
that documentary when they go to fucking Asia? And you realize just how little they know about Asian culture. That all they know is karate, kung fu movies.
So what I'm saying, because that was what was cool about Asians, so they took that shit.
Yeah.
Right? So everybody appropriates what's cool. Now, Black Americans run cool. They fucking run cool. So naturally, they're going to have the things that are taken the most because they decide what's cool, right? If I was in their position, what I would be doing is owning all the things that were cool and then actively selling it. I'd get ahead of it. Like the Chinese go, oh, they think that we wear straw hats? Quick, let's sell some straw hats. Yeah. Oh, they think that we use throwing stars? Quick, get some throwing stars. Like whatever they can make money on, they will because that elevates them. So if I was them and they're like, oh shit, people want to appropriate from us? Well, open up the store, dog. We'll do your cornrows. Yeah. We'll do all these things and let's make us a bit of money on every single part of it. Because that's what made hip hop stars millionaires. Yeah. Like let me tell you something. You could complain about white people all you want, but no rapper is saying white people don't show up to my concert because there'd be nobody in your concert.
No rapper ever has. It's really hard as a rapper to discount white people's participation.
80% of this record sales. Like you would be, Jay-Z is a 200 millionaire. If it wasn't for white people. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's 100%. like the people that get that make millions of dollars off of it. And the people that don't complain about it. It's just it's an argument for broke people. It really what it is. It's sad.
Really interesting.
Yeah. If you have money, you get it. You're like, how can I sell my shit to people?
And you guys met on Guy Code?
We met on Guy Code. Yeah.
And when did you guys start Brilliant Idiots?
I don't know, maybe like 5 years ago or something like that. We were just talking, we'd, have these cool debates and arguments every single week. And then this guy approached Charlamagne about doing a podcast and he hit me up and he was like, yo, let's do this shit. So we just did it. But we were already doing it on the phone and like texting throughout the week, regardless. Me, Duval, and Charlamagne, Charlamagne and Duval already had a relationship, but like me and Duval and Charlamagne, we just kind of like gravitated toward each other for whatever reason. Universe does that for some reason. Like you're meant to be with these folks.
Did you grow up around a lot of black guys?
Yeah, I mean, I went to public school in New York, so it was like my friend group was very diverse, but it wasn't anything like seeing diversity like applauded is such a funny thing for me because it was the norm. It was like, wait a minute, you don't have black friends, like, or you don't have a Dominican friend, like that was more odd to me. Yeah, so like, I don't know, it's just a weird. It's second nature. I think that's why for me, like having a diverse fan base is like I don't feel like I don't relate to these people because I found a way to relate to people outside of our identity very early in life. So my comedy is a reflection of that.
It's really interesting. because I don't see it. Sounds super silly, but like I don't see a huge like I don't really notice when people are of Spanish descent, like Cuban, Puerto Rican. I never catch it.
Yeah.
And I'll say things like, or I never really noticed Jewish either.
Yeah.
But I think I grew up around that, so I don't really pick up on it.
Yeah.
But there was no diversity when it came to black people.
Where are you from?
South in Florida.
Yeah. What part of Florida?
It was Tampa.
Oh yeah.
As crazy as it sounds, I would argue there was segregation in the South well past into the fucking 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, there was in Tallahassee, there was FAMU and there was Florida State. I mean, it was like, no, you have a black college and a white college. And then if you were poor of whatever race you were, if you were poor white, you could get into FAMU. And if you were poor black, you could get into Florida State. But for the most part, it was black and white. And
right.
I didn't even know. I mean, I didn't even think about. I remember telling someone about FAMU when I moved to New York. I told Dimitri Martin, and he was like, "Wait, you had a black college?" And I was like, "Yeah, you didn't." He was like, "No, it was very diverse at Princeton or wherever he went, Yale." I was like, "Oh, I don't know."
But that's the other thing. Is like it's diverse, but it ain't, because like there's different levels to diversity, right? There's like, how diverse is it really if like every one of your parents is either a dentist or a doctor or a lawyer? It's like, yeah, you had like somewhat different cultural experiences, but like you went to private school, like you're Asian, but you went to private school, like you're Nigerian, you went to the private school, you're white, you went to, yes, you guys had different experiences within the upper echelon of society, right? Yeah. So it's like, yes, one time, like I was forced to wait outside the country club while they got my car for this white lady instead, right? It's different when you're going to public school. You're going to public school with kids that are like coming from destitute poverty, and like myself, which was like, you know, upper middle class, like very, you know, privileged, you know, in terms of economics background. So like, that's how you really get to know people.
Funny, we had a alumni baseball game at Judge. I went to an all boys Catholic high school, and I remember they were announcing. You know, they announced the team, and you'd line up on the first baseline if you were the home team, and if you were the white team, you lined up on the third baseline. And they announced the alumni we were playing against. We're all like men in their 30s, 40s, and I've never been more aware of my future. They were like, Gino Alfredi, he's a baker. And the next guy was a plumber. He's a cop. And I remember all of us looking like, I thought we were all going to college. We expected better things for ourselves. But all these were really just fucking ham and egger, like working class men. And we were like, I remember looking down the line going, so we're just going to be working class. Like we thought we were all privileged. And we're looking at like our future lined up facing us going like, no, you're going to be fat and you're going to be fucking working for a living, guys.
Scary, right?
It really is. It's I don't know. We should wrap this up, but what's the goal? I know for a fact you're not the kind of guy that doesn't have a plan. Like, what's the goal? Like, what's like
to be the GOAT?
But in being that, do you want to do movies? Do you just want to do stand up? Would you do a sitcom? If someone wanted to buy your non-scripted series?
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, like I have different agendas, you know, that I think I could go about, but like for me, the goal is always be the GOAT, right? And stand up, right? That's always, I want to wear the belt.
I think it's all our goals, but a lot of us keep it to ourselves.
Yeah,
like, I know.
I
always want to be a great stand up. I want people to go, wow, that special is the best one I've seen. But in my head, I've never, like, I had it written on my front door at one point.
Yeah, you should. I
think every single one of us has that feeling.
Yeah.
We can celebrate everyone. I can tell you Burr's special, Chappelle's special, Rogan, Tommy, Ari, Joey, you name down the line. Everyone's your crowd work. Everyone's special.
You just named the GOATs for me. Like those guys, like, and I also think being the GOAT is a generational thing, right? Like when I look up to Rogans, when I look up to, you know, the Chappelles, when I look up to, you know, Rocks and those guys, these are like the OGs.
Yeah,
you know
I think I do too. Still.
Yeah, it's like those are the OGs, and it's like they're on Rushmore. They're untouchable. You can't touch that, right? But like for me, I'm looking at my generation, and you know, like who I'm coming up with, and like I want to be the GOAT of my generation, you know. And I don't mind saying it. I know comics, like we do this thing where like we pretend to be humble because we're so concerned with being liked, and it's not about humility or anything like that. Like I want to help comics more than anybody in the world. And I think I put my money where my mouth is when it comes to that kind of shit. But I'm not gonna lie about my aspirations. You know what I mean? Like I really want to do it. Like I put out the crowd work special the same day as Chappelle for a reason. You know what I mean? It's like I want to be in the conversation. I know he's the GOAT, but I want to start putting my name in that combo. I want you to watch both of those. So that
was premeditated?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my boy recommended to it. We just did it on a whim that weekend.
Yeah.
But when we decided to edit for 30 hours straight to get it out that Monday, like that was, that's part of it, because you can't even be it unless you're in the conversation. You can't even be it unless you're in the combo. So it's like, I at least have to enter the combo where it's just like, hey, just watch them both. If you laugh, if you find yourself laughing as much, there's going to be a little party that probably goes, oh shit, this was pretty funny. You know, like, oh, I might have to look at Schulz in a different way. And like, how often do we get the opportunity to do that as comics? Like, how often do you get to like put yourself up against one of the best to ever do it in like the current GOAT, you know? So it's like,
it was a big day in comedy.
Yeah.
That was a big day in comedy because that was when my dancing video came out. But I wish I had any fucking insight.
No, I tweeted
because I would have put it a day later.
No, I tweeted this because to me it was such a great day for comedy. It's like you drop this dancing video, goes viral. Chappelle has this special, it goes crazy, and then I dropped the crowd work special, it goes crazy, and it's like it was such a cool day for comedy. And the reality is like there's so much time to watch shit. Nobody was tired of watching comedy that night. I watched my video probably 100 times. I watched your fucking stand up the day it dropped. Yeah. And I watched Chappelle the day it dropped. That's it.
And by the way, how come no one super woke is ever just going like, hey man, talk about all the different comedy that's out there that's given to you for free.
Dude.
I mean, no one's ever just applauding like, hey, at least people are taking chances. These people are going out there and doing different things.
We're doing it. We're making fucking moves, and like we're reshaping this industry, man. It's we got another maybe 5 years before the streaming wars are all settled. You know, I think
is that what you think is going to happen?
I think about.
I know you've been pretty vocal about what's going on with Netflix. I think the Disney Fox merger.
It's going to be Netflix, Disney, Fox, NBC Universal, Warner, TNT, HBO. And then make maybe one other streaming thing. And all 5 of them will compete for, you know, who's the baddest motherfucker on the block. And then shit will settle. And then someone will bundle all of them. And then we're right back at cable. So we have 5 more years before we're right back in cable. And now what for the next 5 years, you ask what else I want to do. It's like, I want you, me, you know, Rogan's already there, but like, you know, Segura, all these guys to build up as much real estate as we possibly can in the digital space. So it's like, oh, what you guys are doing with All Things Comedy, great. So that in 5 years or 10 years, whatever it is, when the streaming wars are settled, we'll sell our entire platform to one of those streaming houses, and you get that Howard Stern check.
That would be.
But that's what will happen. That's what I'm working on now. It's like, I want to be the biggest comic on YouTube as YouTube becomes the most watched platform in the world.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to like put my friends' specials out and have shows with my friends and have this like crazy umbrella of content. And then in fucking 8 years, when Disney comes to me and they're like, all right, dude, we need you on our side. And I go, okay, I need 500 million.
God, man.
That's to me, I think that's the next 5 to 8 years. But look, I'm crazy.
No, you're not.
So
no, you're not. No, and
I'm crazy till it happens.
Let me tell you something.
I'm crazy till it happens.
When I started doing what I was doing with the way when my brain shifted, I couldn't get anyone to fucking listen to me.
Yeah.
I couldn't get anyone to fucking listen to me.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you about this off air.
The hardest follower is the first, right? Like, the first person to follow a prophet is the hardest, right? Because there's no precedent for that person being right yet. It's easy to be the 100th or the millionth. Like, it's easy being the newest Muslim. But the first one, you know what I'm saying? The first one that was looking at Muhammad like, all right, we'll pray 5 times a day, dog. Whatever you, all right. You know what I'm saying? Like, that motherfucker took like true faith. So that's the thing. Like, you got it now.
I look at it like when I wish I could remember when you popped on my radar, but I remember when you did going like, oh shit. It was almost like what it must feel like when when like two Mormons meet and they're like, hey,
you're into
like,
this?
and you start going like I'm not, I know I'm not crazy.
No.
Like I knew there was a way about this other than like, I knew that you could just make content and know that content would speak for itself and people will find you via that content. And I was like, you don't understand how many people fucking, I remember the first time everyone said stuff to me where you could see them slowly convert. Yeah. I remember Sebastian Maniscalco going like, looking at me, trying to figure out like the way that like someone that finds out they're gay at 45 must look in a steam room and he's like, maybe I wouldn't mind my dick sucked. Like I remember Sebastian going like, huh? It's fucking crazy, man. I'm glad I'm friends with you.
Me too, bro.
Because I like the way your brain works and I love what you're doing.
Thank you, man. And feelings mutual, bro. I'm telling you, there's a few of us that we're gonna, and I hope more enter, but the ones of us that are doing this right now, we're gonna be the ones that run this business as Hollywood begins to decay.
So badly. I wish I could apply. I wish I could get more people to listen. I wish I could apply it.
Don't tell them. Just show them.
I'll tell you what I got going on when we get off this.
Okay.
Because I do believe, I don't know.
What I've realized, Bert, is that telling people things is meaningless. Like if you show them, that's where they really kind of are converted and change. Like everybody thought that nobody cared what the fuck I had to say, like at the cellar table about the business until I started selling out theaters. And now it's like when I talk, it's like it's very valued. And if I'm giving advice to these guys, it means something.
I can tell you when you showed up on my radar. I'll find the text. Hold on. I can tell you right now. Hang on.
But yeah, that was what happened with me. So it's like once they see their salvation in you and once they see their success in you, all of a sudden they will be able to follow and have value.
Well, it's going to be a while.
And just know that like when you're the first to do something, like you're always going to be met with your crate. Like, how long it took me even to get like my agents on board?
That was one of the questions I wanted to have. Like, so who's your agent? How the fuck did you get? Because I know my agents, I literally have lunch with my agents in an hour.
Yeah.
And I love my agents.
Yeah.
And I think they've been behind me for a while.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you right now, I'll talk to you about it off air. I'll talk to you about it.
Here's a perfect example. They asked me to go out to audition for this Netflix show that's going to be coming out. I forget, like Steve Carell's behind it or something like that. The audition started 2 minutes ago. But I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care if I do that show. Like, it's not my goal in comedy. So, like, this to me is more valuable. This to me is more important.
This for me is way more valuable than any fucking voiceover audition, any audition. I know this actually puts people in seats at my shows. This pays my bills.
And if all I want to do are the shows, then why the fuck should I care about a show that's going to get canceled? Like Netflix has already like said they don't even care about doing multiple seasons. That their model is kind of do a season or two and then new. So it's like, you want me to invest time in something that you're not going to invest in?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense. None of this makes sense. We're doing it right. Everybody will catch on when they catch on. And the only way that you get them to catch on is just keep selling out shows. Every time you post a theater that's packed, they're going to be like, maybe he's onto some of that dancing shit.
I saw you show it. Was it Thalia Hall?
Oh yeah, dude.
Was that the video you did?
The fashion one.
Where you fell into the audience?
Yeah.
Man, there's so many levels on that I perceive.
For sure.
Once again, it's like your stand-up. What I see, I don't see you smiling. I don't see your arms crossed. I don't see them carrying you. I see the guy next to you that is a fucking ride or die motherfucker. And you go, that's a ticket sale for the next 10 years. That guy's going to come see you. Like, that's an interesting fan. That is I remember listening to them talk about Jeff Dunham's fans, and I forget what the term they used, but I remember going like, God damn it, how do you get one of those? That's that guy. And I went, motherfucker. And that guy, you get enough of those guys. If you can, well, I don't know what Thalia Hall seats, but like 2,000 of those guys. And then next year, they're going to bring a friend. And then the year after that, all you want to do is double business.
That's it.
All you want to do every year. If you can just, I said, before I did my Netflix special, I go, if I can just keep the same amount of business, I'm good. And then every year you just, if you can double it, dude, you're fucking murdering it in this
Group
business.
text, bro. The group text made my career. Just sending out clips, sending out, let's go to the show. I try to keep my tickets at a price range where like you can buy one for a friend that doesn't know me.
Yeah.
I thank them after every show. I'm like, I know there's a lot of people here that invited friends, and you know, you just told those friends to trust you. And I hope that I proved you right, because I know for a fact that that's what took me from clubs to theaters.
Yeah.
Is literally people just going, you got to see this guy.
That's fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, man.
Well, I'm glad we did this, dude.
Me too, bro. Thank you so much for having me.
Offline with
Let's
you.
do it. Let's do it.